Oh, I've been chomping at the bit to get to this mid-air collision conspiracy. As I sit here and take in all of the news from every direction, all I see is deceivers, liars, corporate media, cover-ups, agenda, all pushing the same propaganda. It's time for a game changer, a visionary, an innovative person who changes the way that people think of the situations. It's time for Game Changer TV, telling it like it is. Get in the game. Oh, I've been chomping at the bit to get to this story, but so much has been going on at my house. Thank you for tuning in to Game Changer TV. I'm your host, Terry Lynn, and this is the channel where every day we're telling it like it is. Today is February 2nd, 2025. So let's talk about this January 29th helicopter plane collision over D.C. Let's talk about all the conspiracies around this story. And let's separate facts and conspiracy. And let's just follow the straight facts. I'm looking through my little microscope, my little magnifying glass. I'm looking through my magnifying glass. A helicopter. I feel like I'm doing a Sesame Street skit. One of these things don't belong here. I'm looking through my magnifying glass. I'm examining a helicopter, plane collision, digital ID, Trump, and the mark of the beast from a mid-air collision conspiracy. Well, now, that's a big jump from a helicopter plane collision to the mark of the beast. Or is this conspiracy theory? I've been on this story for 4 days. I went down one tunnel. So for 5 years, we lived in Colorado, and they have prairie dogs in Colorado, and they have these extensive, expansive tunnels that these prairie dogs live under the ground in. This story is like prairie dog tunnels. I went down one tunnel, it led me to another tunnel, and wait till you see where it ends up at. This story took me all over the place. I'd go down one tunnel, think that that's going to be the end of the story, and it would venture off to another tunnel. Your mind is going to be blown. And I only went where the facts led me. Oh, you are really going to need your notepad for this one. So go on, stop the video, find something to write on, and write down some of the subjects that I'm going to cover in this video, because this tunnel went wild. Mid-air collision conspiracy. Get out the tinfoil hat. Let's look at the collision. This 22-second clip has no sound, but let's look at the collision. We've all seen it, but for the sake of the storyline, let's put it in here. Now, this is the official story. On January 29, 2025, PSA Airlines Flight 5342, marketed as American Eagle Flight 5342 under a code share agreement with American Airlines, a Bombardier CRJ 700 series airliner, collided in mid-air with a U.S. Army Sikorsky H-6 Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac River, a half-mile from the approach end of runway 33.
Wednesday night, American Airlines Flight 5342, carrying U.S. figure skaters, collided with a military helicopter in Washington, D.C. The helicopter was carrying 3 U.S. military personnel. The passenger plane had 60 passengers and 4 crew members aboard, including former Russian figure skating world champions Yevgenia Shishkova and Vadim Naumov. As partners, they represented the Soviet Union and Russia at international competitions, winning the world championships in pair skating in 1994. After retiring, the duo settled in Connecticut in 1998, where they worked as coaches for many years. They have trained many talented figure skaters and made a significant impact on the development of figure skating in the United States. Additionally, the U.S. Figure Skating Association released a statement confirming that several of its members were on the ill-fated flight. Currently, over 300 rescuers have arrived at the scene to assist, but the rescue efforts face significant challenges, with the depth of the river and the lack of lighting being the main obstacles, compounded by extremely cold weather. On Wednesday,
Wild conspiracy theorists suggest that the Black Hawk chopper's crash with American Airlines jet was deliberate because military helicopters don't fly into planes.
Go ahead and call me crazy. This is a jet. This is a helicopter. Watch. Why is this important? A Black Hawk helicopter flew into a commercial jet over the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. Oh, it was just an accident. It was just an accident. I'll die before you convince me of that. Come at me, bro. Why don't you think it's an accident? Let me give you a little backstory on this. I don't know who was on the plane. I don't know who was in the helicopter. Okay, what I do know is that in that area of the Potomac River, it's common for helicopters to fucking fly around. They're supposed to stay at or below 200 feet AGL, which is above ground level. That helicopter collided with that plane at 350 foot above ground level, somewhere it was not supposed to be. The airplane was in a landing pattern coming into the air. Go ahead.
The next morning, Trump came out and said the crash near National Airport looks like it should have been prevented. Trump blames DEI for the collision. Trump attacks DEI program at FAA following mid-air collision. President Trump, DEI could have caused the mid-air collision. 2 days later, Trump criticized DEI and the FAA's diversity policies after a deadly plane crash. And then MAGA was blaming DEI policies on the collision. MAGA lawmaker wonders, did DEI play a role in the deadly DC plane crash? So they were blaming DEI policies, throwing it around. Let's look at some facts. On January 20th, Trump is sworn in as the president. January 20th, Trump fires the FAA director. The FAA is the U.S. government agency that regulates civil aviation and commercial space transportation. The FAA's mission is to ensure the safety and efficiency of air travel in the U.S. and surrounding the international waters. The next day, the air traffic controller hiring freeze. January 22nd, Aviation Safety Advisory Committee disbanded. January 28th, buyout retirement demand sent to existing federal employees. Is FAA employees federal employees? So, Trump was sworn in the president. The very same day, he fires the FAA director. The next day, he puts a hiring freeze on air traffic controllers hiring. Then the next day after that, the Aviation Safety and Advisory Committee is disbanded. Then he offers a buyout and retirement demand for the existing federal employees at the air traffic control. And then 9 days after he's sworn in and fires the FAA director, first American mid-air collision happens in 16 years. But he didn't get on the news and say, oh, well, the day I got sworn in, I fired the FAA director. I put a hiring freeze. I offered everybody who worked there a buyout. That's what caused it. He didn't say any of that. Not enough people in the tower to deal with it. He blamed DEI practices and hiring practices for the collision, while most of America did not know the backstory that happened that entire week leading up to it. The day after the collision, it was reported that from Irish Star, Elon Musk pressured the FAA boss to quit 1 week before the Potomac River plane crash. Leaderless FAA begins investigation of the Washington plane crash. A leaderless FAA begins to investigate. That reminds me of a movie. Y'all remember in Shawshank Redemption? The district attorney, the prosecutor says, yet, Mr. Dufresne, you still maintain that you threw your gun into the river before the murders took place. That's very convenient. The police dragged that river for 3 days and nary a gun was found. So there could be no comparison made between your gun and the bullets taken from the blood-stained corpses of the victims. And that also is very convenient, isn't it, Mr. Dufresne? Since I am innocent of this crime, sir, I find it decidedly inconvenient that the gun was never found. Now, don't you find it very convenient that most of the higher-ups with the FAA were taken out before this collision, and now the leaderless FAA is going to be investigating the crash? In light of this accident, I find it very convenient that the FAA director was days before fired and air traffic controllers let go. And now the department is leaderless to investigate this. But yet Trump blames the Biden administration and DEI for the collision. Trump says, I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first. Huh? And they put politics at a level that nobody has ever seen. Huh? People are not paying attention. I'm going where the facts are leading me. So Trump blames the DEI and Biden for the crash under his watch. Trump blames DEI policies for the deadly DC collision. Don't pay no attention to everything that Trump was doing, all the firing and bribing and threatening to quit. Don't look at that. But when somebody wants me not to look at something, that only makes me determined to look. We are following the facts to see where it leads us to get us to the truth.
Maybe I'm just cynical. Maybe I am. But I find it really hard to believe that in 2025, we have a collision between a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter decked out with an experienced crew and a commercial airliner. How does that happen? 67 people dead, 64 on the American Airlines jet, 3 more on the helicopter. Man, it's just hard to believe. Or is it just me? Or do you feel the same way? Tell me here in your comments.
And a lot of people are feeling that, and the conspiracies are everywhere. And let's look at some stuff. The airport was Reagan National Airport. 60 passengers, 4 flight crew, 3 on the helicopter. And what runway were they to land on? They were supposed to land on Reagan National Airport. Just kind of weird that it's RNA. And there were 60 passengers, 4 flight crew, and 3 on the helicopter. 64 people on the American Airlines, 60 passengers, 4 crew, and 3 on the helicopter. 60 plus 4, 64. 6 plus 4 equals 10. 10 plus 3 equals 13. And they were landing on runway 33. 11, 13, and 33 are the Illuminati Freemason numbers. So, was this a sacrifice? A ritual? Who was on the plane? Who was involved in this? Trump says the day after that the helicopter in the DC collision and the crash was flying too high. Oh, so now it's not DEI problems. Now it's the helicopter was flying too high. 2 days later, pilot of Army Black Hawk helicopter in Potomac River plane crash is identified. According to the U.S. defense officials, Black Hawk was on a required annual proficiency training flight. The helicopter's instructor pilot, who had 1,000 flight hours, and the co-pilot with 500 hours, were both experienced with the area and the route. Military helicopters frequently fly similar routes, according to senior Army pilot. Here's another angle of it. And because there was no clarification really in the beginning, wild conspiracy theories started going wild. And wild conspiracy theorists suggest that the Black Hawk helicopter crash with the airline jet was deliberate because the military helicopters don't fly into planes, especially with trained pilots with extensive hours of flying.
Okay, this DC plane crash is just not sitting well with me. None of this is making sense. So first, let's talk about the plane. So PSA Airlines is a small airline. It's actually a subsidiary of American Airlines. And they've only got a few hubs. And interesting enough, actually yesterday, they just announced that Charlotte would be their main hub instead of Dayton, Ohio. So this plane is small. It only holds 64 passengers, some of which are very high-ranking figure skaters from some countries that we're not great friends with. But let's focus on the helicopter, because if you watch the video, it clearly shows the Black Hawk going straight into the plane. So when a military helicopter is flying, the FAA protocol generally requires it to follow standard airspace rules and communicate with air traffic control as needed, while also considering special considerations like designated military operating areas, flight plan details, and potential need for priority handling due to mission requirements. Military helicopters should typically file a flight plan detailing their route and altitude and are expected to maintain safe separation from civilian aircraft while operating in a controlled airspace. Now, interesting enough, DCA is actually a Category B airport, which refers to the most heavily controlled airspace around major airports, requiring specific pilot qualifications and procedures to operate within. And there are multiple reports of the air traffic controller telling the airplane that there is a helicopter. None of this is adding up, people. I'm sure there's a lot of questions like who. Okay.
People on board American Airlines flight crashes with a military helicopter. But what kind of helicopter? This helicopter only carries VIP officials. So what if, theoretically, someone hypnotizes this pilot, triggers the hypnosis, and then the pilot decides to fly its plane right into a landing strip, military plane, they know better, okay? The best pilots in the world, flies right in front of an American Airlines airline and collides midair, killing everyone on board. Who was on that flight? Who was on that helicopter? Who did they do this to? This is not an accident, guys. This does not happen. This does not happen. It happened on purpose. The question is, why did it happen? Who was on that plane? Who was on that helicopter? 54 people.
Does anybody just find it oddly disturbing? And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, okay? I'm one of those people like, show me some documentation. But I do have questions about the helicopter. I've watched some footage. I flew out of that airport a week ago, and I'm not... things aren't adding up, you know? Like the wheels on the bus are going round, and then they've come to a screeching halt, you know? They probably have bad brakes because I heard a grinding sound. But listen, let's be clear here, okay? Something's off. I know that the helicopter was labeled PAT. So I'm wondering, priority transport. I'm just wondering, is anybody else getting like this feeling? Like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I've got questions.
The following day, the Daily Mail out of the UK reported, doomed Black Hawk helicopter's call sign sparks fresh mystery following DC plane crash. The Black Hawk was marked as PAT 25, which stands for Priority Air Transport and is usually reserved for when the Army is conducting VIP missions, such as having officials on board. So let's hear this guy again.
Go ahead and call me crazy. This is a jet. This is a helicopter. Watch. Why is this important? A Black Hawk helicopter flew into a commercial jet over the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. Oh, it was just an accident. It was just an accident. I'll die before you convince me of that.
So as the plane that crashed was heading to runway 33, by the way, we're getting reports that the staffing was not normal at these locations. You could see it speeding up and trying to lift up a lot as if trying to avoid something. You can loop it and watch it again. We got a lot to go over. And yes, you heard me right. The staffing was not normal. Multiple reports, multiple people. But the craziest part is at the end. I got multiple different angles of the crash I'm about to show you, but one thing that's really important to know is the Black Hawk did not have a black box flight recorder on it for some reason, you know? And obviously, you see what that is. Now, there are multiple Russians that were on this flight, and he actually took a picture of the plane before it took off, and he posted it to his social media. Because of who was on this plane, I'm not comfortable with the way it went down. Now, here's security cam footage, and we're about to go over dash cam footage. Now, the reason I can only show you and not say anything about it is really weird. I made a video last night, and it got taken off the For You page. But 12 hours later, I woke up, and someone made an identical video and got 1 million views in 3 hours. Pretty weird, right? Some are allowed to talk and some aren't. If I didn't know any better. Now, besides the helicopter taking off from a residential neighborhood,
it's almost like the helicopter is flying itself.
CNN are just elite reporters. They were able to report the crash in advance of 5 hours, which AI confirmed with the information available on the internet, that they were able to get it 5 hours in advance. And not just that, but a glitch that showed the plane made it. Prayers for everyone affected. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more about this.
All right, let's go through this, okay, folks? And let's go through it one by one. When you look at the video here, okay, when you look at the video of what was happening, this is the best video I have of this crash, and you can see the helicopter crashes into that plane as it's coming into Dulles. Now, the plane was on final approach. There's no way a helicopter is not going to see that plane. People are talking about night vision goggles. I don't buy it. What I do go back to is the situation of this plane coming in and making some very odd movements. This is the plane taking off. And you can see right here, there's a first near crash. Now, we don't know the altitude there. From what I've seen, it's about 1,000 feet. Here comes another plane. And then this helicopter, the orange plane there is the helicopter, will make a couple weird zigzags as it goes down the Potomac. That move right there that you see before it comes down the Potomac, and then ultimately crashes into that American Eagle flight that is on final approach. You see the one plane taking off there, and then as it comes in here, this is where it gets bad. And again, you see the zigzags here that to me don't make a lot of sense. Now, why is the plane zigzagging, the helicopter zigzagging? Why did the helicopter descend from 1,000 feet, okay, to literally 800 feet? This is the data from the helicopter, and I've gone through it. You can see here it starts at 1,100 feet, okay? And as we move through it, it descends down to 1,600 feet and all the way down here, 400 feet. Now, that is way too low for this Black Hawk to be flying. And if you back this data up that I saved, you will see here that it goes from 800 feet at 42 minutes past the hour and 47 seconds. And in about 30 seconds, it will drop to that 400 feet level in 30 seconds. That doesn't make sense to me. So now I'm asking myself, was this a suicide mission? Was this a computer hack? Did the helicopter have a mechanical malfunction? I don't believe this is on the American Eagle pilot. I don't think there's anything that the American Eagle pilot could have done.
Now, this is probably going to play loud, so please go on and adjust your earphones or your volume.
I'm telling you right now, they can kill me for saying it, but under no circumstance is a military helicopter, especially a fucking Black Hawk, gonna accidentally crash into a commercial plane. I'm telling you right now, they can kill me for saying it, but under no circumstance is a military helicopter, especially a fucking Black Hawk, gonna accidentally crash into a commercial plane.
Helicopter crashing into the airplane still just doesn't sit right with me, and here's why. The helicopter, the call sign was PAT-25. This means Priority Air Transport. This indicates there is high priority personnel or cargo of national importance inside of that helicopter. So my first question is, who or what is inside of this? And we have found out that the crew chief was Ryan O'Hara, and he left behind a baby and a wife, so I'm praying hard for him and everyone else affected by this. And I mean no disrespect to anyone involved, but they said this helicopter was in some type of training session, which just doesn't add up to me. And did you know that some of these Black Hawk helicopters are autonomous? I'm not saying this had anything to do with what happened, but it's just a fun little fact. American Airlines flight had 60 passengers. There was a lot of children and there was a lot of members from the figure skating community, including a lot of previous champions, and they were on their way to land on runway 33, if that number has any significance to you. Unfortunately, as I'm making this video, there are still no survivors found. But now the million-dollar question, what actually happened? Was it a miscommunication issue? Because the air traffic controller told the helicopter, "Do you have CRJ in sight?" That was the airplane. And then 2 seconds later, they said to pass behind the airplane. So if they heard the air traffic controller, then they knew the airplane was in sight. Also, just to let you know, while this is happening, North Carolina is currently having massive wildfires, and this is a big deal because this is close to where the hurricanes were happening, and the debris that is the helicopter.
So you heard him say that there were no survivors. That's all I had been hearing. Did y'all hear this other report? Did y'all hear the report about initially there being 4 survivors?
Also, Paul Wagner is being told that they're being taken to the MPD helipad off South Capitol Street. So this is some good news that we know that those first responders are finding survivors there in those waters.
I mean, considering the fact that we saw the images from EarthCam of what looked like a fireball in the air when this American Eagle flight from Wichita, Kansas, as you're looking here, we're going to show it to you again. This American Eagle flight from Wichita, Kansas was supposed to land at Reagan National before 9, and witnesses reported seeing.
Also, Paul Wagner is being told that they're being taken to the MPD helipad off South Capitol Street. So this is some good news that we know that those first responders are finding survivors there in those waters.
I mean, considering the fact that we saw the images from EarthCam of what looked like a fireball in the air when this American Eagle flight from Wichita, Kansas, as you're looking here, we're going to show it to you again. This American Eagle flight from Wichita, Kansas was supposed to land at Reagan National before 9, and witnesses reported seeing.
We're just following the facts to see where all this is going to lead us.
I'm telling you right now, they can kill me for saying it, but under no circumstance is a military helicopter, especially a fucking Black Hawk, gonna accidentally crash into a commercial plane. Like, there's no way. And get this, the call sign on the helicopter was PAT-25. That means Priority Air Transport. So what's on that helicopter, you know? Obviously, something's not adding up here.
So was it DI practices, pilot era, policy, Trump, Biden, the CIA? Let's follow the facts. The helo involved in the terrible plane crash tonight in D.C. is not any old helicopter. It's a VH-60 Black Hawk VIP transport. We don't know who was on board, but it was tracked leaving right at CIA headquarters according to this flight data. Keep that in mind. Put that in your notebook. We're going to come back to it. But Trump blamed DEI hires for the DC crash. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's what he was blaming it on.
We don't even yet know the names of the 67 people who were killed, and you are blaming Democrats and DEI policies and air traffic control and seemingly the member of the U.S. military who was flying that Black Hawk helicopter. Don't you think you're getting ahead of the investigation right now?
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think with the names of the people, you mean the names of the people that are on the plane, you think that's going to make a difference?
Does it comfort their families?
They
to
are
hear you
a
blaming
group of
DEI
people that have
policies?
lost their lives. If you want a list of the names, we can give you that. We'll be giving that very soon. We're in coordination with American Airlines. We're in coordination very strongly, obviously, with the military. But I think that's not a very smart question.
But are you
I'm
blaming-
surprised coming from you.
Are you blaming-
I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
As the president came out here and was casting blame, one thing I noted was that there are still bodies being pulled from the water of the Potomac right now. We know from officials that we heard from earlier that that rescue and that recovery operation is very much still underway in some really difficult conditions that first responders were dealing with last night.
So DEI, originally the reports were that a transgender woman was the pilot of the Black Hawk. Who is transgender Black Hawk pilot trainee Joe Ellis? Trans pilot Joe Ellis rumored to be the Black Hawk pilot in fatal collision over Potomac River. Chief Warrant Officer Joe Ellis, a transgender woman, is rumored to have been the pilot of the U.S. Black Hawk helicopter involved in a deadly mid-air collision with an American Airlines plane near Washington, D.C. Trump quickly weighed in on the tragedy, raising questions about the role of diversity and inclusion programs in federal hiring. Trump, who has been outspoken in his criticism of such programs, suggested that the lower hiring standards for the air traffic controllers during the Obama and Biden administrations may have contributed to the crash. However, he provided no evidence to support the claims. Not that he was cutting everybody and letting them go. Trump also posted his thoughts on Truth Social shortly after the crash, questioning the circumstances surrounding the collision. He noted that the American Airlines flight paths appeared to be perfect and routine, while suggesting that the helicopter had flown directly towards the plane for an extended period. Trump questioned why the Black Hawk didn't alter its course and why the air traffic control didn't intervene sooner. He implied that the crash seemed preventable, describing the situation as not good. So they were reporting a tranny was flying it while they're fighting over DEI policies and the infighting. It says, a person posted this on Facebook and he made some great points. I've been watching this and waiting for details to emerge from the Washington, D.C. plane crash. Lori asked me if I thought it was a false flag event. There's another word to put in your notebook. Lori asked if I thought it was a false flag event. I said, while it definitely looked intentional and suspicious, if it were a false flag event, it would be tied to the transgender pilot and the DEI practices, who was angry about being kicked out of the military, or it would be blamed on a Muslim with ties to Iran. Well, look what's coming out now. The timing of this is a bit too convenient for Trump to purge the military of transgenders and other unwanted individuals. I don't believe in coincidences, so I suspect the helicopter was controlled electronically by someone outside of the helicopter in order to cause the crash to be blamed on the storyline we now have. So we're now learning that the co-pilot female who was on the Black Hawk is actually transgender, who wrote a long letter one day prior about gender dysphoria and depression. Joe Ellis also had been making radicalized statements about Trump on social media. Was this a suicide mission? That's what the flight radar data literally shows, almost colliding with 3 other planes before the final impact. And where's the best place to actually hit a plane mid-air? Next to the airport. How are we going to cover this up? Well, that storyline is now being scrubbed off the internet, just like 4 survivors. Who was the American Airlines plane and Black Hawk helicopter pilot? The identity of the 3rd soldier on the Black Hawk, a female pilot, has yet to be released at the request of the family. The name of the 3rd soldier will not be released at this time. And they went days before they gave us a name. So everything's being scrubbed. I had sent myself this video to watch, tranny pilot helicopter, and it was a good video. And now when you click on it, it says video unavailable. This was a great article on here. Rumor, tranny was flying the helicopter from Tiger Droppings. When you click on it now, it says, we're sorry, this page is not available. And now it's misidentification. Misidentification, is that her name now? Misidentification? Never mind. Misidentification sparks controversy after fatal DC helicopter crash. The crash claimed the lives of 3 soldiers aboard the helicopter, identified as Chief Warrant Officer Andrew Aves, Ron O'Hare, and another unidentified female pilot, along with all 60 passengers and 4 crew members on the regional jet. And here it was still saying on the 31st, Army withholds the name of Black Hawk helicopter crew, but they named the 2 men, they didn't name the woman. The 3rd crew member on the helicopter was a female pilot with 500 hours of flying experience, according to a U.S. official who was not authorized to speak publicly about the investigation. The Army is withholding the pilot's name at the request of her family. But then a fact check comes out later that afternoon. Fact check. Transnational Guard pilot not on the crashed Black Hawk in D.C. A transgender pilot named Joe Ellis is alive and was not involved in the incident at Reagan National Airport. Trans pilot shares proof of life video amid false claims she flew helicopter in D.C. crash. Proof of life? Proof of life? Okay, y'all, here's my proof of life video. Let's keep going. Trans Black Hawk pilot forced to respond after she's falsely identified as DC crash captain. Forced to respond? If it was suspected that I was on that plane and I wasn't, I wouldn't feel forced to respond. I would give my condolences. Thank you for the prayers. Thank you for who was worried about me. I really appreciate that. It means so much. Y'all pray for my colleagues who were killed. Thank y'all for your concern. Not be forced to respond. Now let's hear transgender Joe Ellis in her own words.
Interesting morning. This is Joe Ellis. I am a Black Hawk pilot with Virginia Army National Guard. I understand some people have associated me with the crash in DC, and that is false. It is insulting to the families to try to tie this to some sort of political agenda. They don't deserve that. I don't deserve this. And I hope that you all know that I am alive and well, and this should be sufficient for you all to end all the rumors. I also have a statement. The Department of Defense is responsible for casualty notifications. There were no Virginia National Guard personnel on that Black Hawk that collided with the jetliner Wednesday evening. Thank you.
How strange was that entire clip? And how strange she had to read a disclaimer from the military.
Statement. The Department of Defense is responsible for casualty notifications. There were no Virginia National Guard personnel on that Black Hawk that collided with the jetliner Wednesday evening. Thank you.
So the following day, this story came out. Army releases name of third soldier who died in the helicopter and airliner crash. There has been no specific explanation from the Army for the one-day delay in releasing her name. But while the investigation into the crash has only just begun, President Donald Trump has publicly blamed the helicopter for flying too high in altitude. So now he's not blaming it on DEI. He's not blaming it on Joe Ellis and DEI practices. Now the helicopter's flying too high. And he issued a lengthy critique about the FAA Diversity Hiring Initiative, particularly regarding air traffic controllers, saying they had eroded flight safety. No evidence has emerged that rules seeking to diversify the FAA played any role in the collision. But who was piloting the Black Hawk? A man, a woman, a transgender, or no one? Let's just follow the facts. Look at this Black Hawk helicopter, no pilot, with DARPA on the helicopter. Yes, Black Hawk helicopters can be autonomous, flown without any person on it. Is that why it almost hit 2 or 3 other planes? Because maybe who was remote controlling it didn't have good control over it? And they were aiming towards the one that had whoever was on it? Yes, Black Hawk helicopters can be autonomous. Sikorsky, a Lockheed Martin company, has been developing autonomous Black Hawk helicopters in collaboration with the U.S. Army and the U.S. Marine Corps. So the Army and the Marine have autonomous Black Hawks. The first one was released in 2022. Safe, reliable, and uninhabited. First autonomous Black Hawk helicopter flight. And what kind of Black helicopter was involved in this collision? The Black Hawk involved in this collision is a Sikorsky H-60 from the U.S. Army's 12th Aviation Battalion. The same one that can be autonomous.
Are we really going to fly this optimally piloted autonomous Black Hawk in Connecticut from 300 miles away right here in Washington, D.C.? And the answer is a resounding yes.
Did y'all hear what she said? Flying an autonomous Black Hawk in D.C. Let's hear this again.
Are we really going to fly this optimally piloted autonomous Black Hawk in Connecticut from 300 miles away right here in Washington, D.C.? And the answer is a resounding yes, we're going to.
You're going to see the aircraft come up to a stabilized hover, and this is going to simulate contested logistics operations where we would have a ground crew hooking up a sling load to the aircraft.
And this aircraft is holding position remarkably well.
DARPA, the Department of Defense, looked down this tunnel. So Trump just appointed Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of Defense over the Department of Defense. DARPA resides under the Secretary of Defense. Under the Secretary of Defense for Research and Engineering, DARPA, in accordance with Department of Defense policies, is under the direction and control of OUSD R&E and Director, Defense Research and Engineering. So they work with the Department of Defense. DARPA is a research arm. And what did Trump's newly appointed Department of Defense Secretary say? The warrior to lead the Pentagon towards peace and strategic excellence. Pete Hegseth says he will ensure Trump's executive orders are complied with rapidly and without excuse. That's a terrible headline, but that's how it is. I didn't write it. That's how I pulled it. He says he will enforce Trump's executive orders. So everybody's excited about the appointment of Pete Hegseth. That says that he's a patriot through and through. Pete Hegseth is a patriot. Everybody wants to feel good. So this is Pete Hegseth with his big tattoo. And y'all know he was almost not confirmed because of all the SA incidences all around him. But this is our patriot that the Christian right is celebrating. So let's get into the tattoo. The patriot. Let's get into the patriot's tattoo. So, does this look familiar? So I thought it was the Knights of Templar cross. And then I found it was the Jerusalem cross. And just like the Knights of Templar were a crusade group, the Jerusalem cross is the Crusaders' cross. And it says it is a significant symbol in Christian history. The Templar cross is the cross that the Knights of Templar used to wear on their coats, habits, and banners. The Templar cross is most often described as cross pate gules, a cross with arms that widen to end flat or rounded. The Jerusalem cross, known as the Crusaders' cross, was worn by crusaders from England, France, Germany, Italy, and Spain. The cross was given to the Crusaders by Pope Urban II in the Middle Ages. Called at times the Crusaders' cross, it became attached particularly to the coat of arms of famed Crusader knight Godfrey de Bouillon, one of the leaders of the First Crusade. Godfrey of Bouillon, at the head of the Latin Kingdom of Jerusalem, placed Godfrey of Bouillon, the most valiant, and devoted of the Crusader Knights of the Knights of Templar Order. I typed, was Godfrey de Bouillon also the Godfrey of Bouillon, the one that was a Knight of Templar? Yes, Godfrey de Bouillon and Godfrey of Bouillon refer to the same person, a prominent leader of the First Crusade who became the first ruler of Jerusalem after its capture from the Muslims. His name is often translated as Godfrey of Bouillon in English, but the French version is Godfrey of the Bouillon. And he was the most valiant and devoted of the Knights of Templar Order. So you know, to get a tattoo that big on the front of your chest, you've got to know the history of the tattoo that you're getting. Though the Knights Templar possessed a ruthless and fierce fanaticism that fired their fighting fervor, which could give them greater determination, strength, and stamina in battle, their combat prowess was legendary. That of the Templars, often renowned for their animal power, die-hard zeal, and exceptional skill at arms. The Knights are accused of idolatry, blasphemy, rituals, and extravagance. So he paid a woman $50,000 who had accused him of SA in 2017. Maybe he's still a crusader, a conqueror. Pete Hegseth's confirmation is another painful reminder for American women. The FBI did not interview the woman who accused him of it. Their combat prowess is legendary. Renowned for their animal power, die-hard zeal, and exceptional skills at arms. The Knights of Templar was a French military order of the Catholic faith and one of the wealthiest and most popular military orders in Western Christianity. They were accused of idolatry, blasphemous rituals, and deviance.
The Knights Templar and Baphomet. Now we're diving into the real hidden history. The Templars were accused of worshipping Baphomet during their trials in the early 1300s. But here's the thing. It wasn't just a random accusation. Baphomet, often depicted as this goat-headed figure, is a symbol packed with esoteric meaning, representing duality, balance, and hidden knowledge. The Templars were no ordinary knights. They dug deep into ancient mysteries, hidden teachings, and were involved in secret practices. These practices had ties back to the mystery schools of Egypt, the Kabbalah, and even early Gnosticism. Baphomet, with its symbolic representation of opposites, was a perfect fit for the Templars' secretive pursuits. And when they got too close to that forbidden knowledge, the elites, the Vatican, the kings, came down on them hard. The whole Baphomet thing was the perfect excuse to burn them at the stake, discredit their order, and seize their wealth. But the Templars weren't just obsessed with Baphomet for the sake of it. They saw it as a key to unlocking ancient power, the kind of power that terrifies the ruling class. The Knights Templar.
They wanted power from the devil, from Baphomet. Baphomet is an invented pagan or Gnostic idol or deity that the Knights of Templar were accused of worshiping, that was later embraced by different religions. Baphomet worship. Where have we seen that before? Oh, Trump's other right-hand guy, Vice President Elon Musk. So the head of the Department of Defense has a Knight of Templar Jerusalem cross on his chest, and that group worships Baphomet. Then we've got Trump and Vice President Elon Musk, who worships Baphomet, who says he's not afraid to go to hell, that most people are going there anyway. So now let's look at the Knights of Templar, and y'all, get your notebook out, because this is where your mind is going to be blown. The Knights of Templar and the Ark of the Covenant. The Knights Templar Grand Master reveals Ark of the Covenant's true purpose. The video explores the theory that the Knights Templar obtained the Ark of the Covenant. The Templars and the Ark of the Covenant offers compelling evidence that the Knights Templar may have taken the Ark of the Covenant. Well, what is the Ark of the Covenant? The Ark of the Covenant is a gold-plated wooden chest that held the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments in the Bible. It was a sacred relic for the Israelites and was considered a representation of God on the earth. The Knights of Templar that wanted all the power, and it represented God on the earth. Hebrews 9:4 states that the ark contained the golden pot that had manna, and Aaron's rod that budded, and the tablets of the covenant. Revelation 11:19 says the prophet saw God's temple in heaven opened, and the ark of his covenant was seen within his temple. 3 things in the ark of the covenant: a jar containing manna, Aaron's staff that sprouted, and the stone tablets, the Ten Commandments. So the Knights of Templar are rumored to have had the Ark of the Covenant that represented God on the earth. So what's going on with Trump and the Ark of the Covenant?
Do you hear something really, really kind of weird?
I'm begging for it.
All right. Let me find the article. Here it is. All right. So when this comes out, it would have been 2 weeks ago. But there was a group of people that built an exact replica of the Ark of the Covenant, which seems like we're talking about the Ark of the Covenant every episode now.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That's okay.
It is okay.
It's topical, and it's really strange what's happening.
So, you know the Ark of the Covenant, right?
I could use just like a short summary, but yes, I do know, but just for the viewers.
Yeah, for the viewers. So it's basically this golden box that was created in the Old Testament that the Israelites traveled with, and wherever the Ark of the Covenant was, that's where God's glory was. So like when they're in the wilderness, by day there would be a pillar of smoke that would fall or come from the ark that the Israelites would follow, and at night it would be a pillar of fire. It was very holy.
Very sacred. Like it held the presence of God. Like it's
So basically within it, I believe it's like a basket of manna, which is that bread that God sent down for the Israelites. I believe it's the Ten Commandments, and
staff, right?
The staff of Moses. Was it staff of Moses?
How big was this covenant to fit a staff?
Decently big.
Okay.
But
took multiple people to carry it.
Or was it Aaron's staff?
I'm looking it up. I thought it was Aaron's.
Either way.
Aaron's rod, yeah.
Okay. So very sacred, and it's been like the whole stories of like the Old Testament, like the armies of Israel would literally bring it into battle and win battles. Like
just
it was
from this covenant.
It was God's power, God's glory that rested with this ark.
Really good power. We like that.
Imagine on election night the winner rolls out with the Ark of the Covenant.
Dude.
We got big plans.
That'll terrify me.
We're bunkering down, honey.
Pyrotechnics coming behind it.
That's so interesting, though, to me that it was lost.
It still is lost.
No, I know, but like how?
Well, they're saying that I think it was when the Babylonians, when they basically took over Israel, that people within Israel hid the Ark of the Covenant, and that it's never been found since. But some people think it has been found. Some people think that there's people that are still guarding it to this day, possibly in Ethiopia. Like there's a bunch of rumors. We even talked about the CIA might know where it is.
They hid it really well then.
Yeah.
There's a document on their actual website about them locating the Ark of the Covenant, like seeing it.
The CIA's?
Yeah.
This was probably the strangest part of this whole story. Do you know where this replica of the Ark of the Covenant was, or where it was staying at for 8 months before they brought it to Israel?
guess the craziest location, the most specific crazy location that you would be like, this, it would never happen. It would never be there.
Antarctica.
Trump's house. Mar-a-Lago.
No joke.
It was in Trump's house for 8 months before it was brought to Israel.
Is that the secret?
They just blow right past that. Why was it there?
Of all places. Florida. Why?
It's just weird. And I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything weird.
No, it's just
a weird connection.
In the past 8 months, it's been in Florida.
Yeah.
That is insane.
I don't know what to make of it.
But it seems like it's fake. It seems like that obviously can't be true. But why would he have any interest in that?
I don't know.
I think he's religious though.
I mean, okay, I don't want to.
We don't know.
No one knows.
Here's my whole thing. Like, it's very the person who made it doesn't want to be recognized, and if you've got the actual thing, it would do well of you to talk about making a fake.
Yeah,
it's just weird. I mean, I consider myself spiritual, but I would never just want the Ark of the Covenant at my house.
No, that'd be scary.
So it's like, no matter how spiritual the dude is, it's a weird thing. Red flag.
So Trump had a quote replica, maybe the real one, of the Ark of the Covenant at Mar-a-Lago that is considered the representation of God on the earth. Yo, this is wild.
Red flag. 8 months. I don't understand what you're doing.
I try to be so careful with how I talk about this.
It's just strange.
It's weird.
It's just a weird thing to have like at the retirement home or like
if you
a bunch
voted
of golf courses. There's like, is that the Ark at the, is that?
It doesn't matter. In the most random spot of all time. People just don't know what it is. They like walk by it.
It's just a coaster. People are just putting it just.
I truly don't care how anyone voted. Just looking at face value, that's strange.
That's 100%. That's the only
and they're
reason we
talking
care
about like,
this.
oh, it's weaponized. Now the things that are going to happen with this Ark of the Covenant, it's going to be like the movies of like the power that it's going to bring. And it's like, oh, where was it before it came to Israel? It was in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
There's got to be some like logistical reason.
I'm just imagining like Mar-a-Lago being mentioned in like the prophecies or the Revelation inside Revelation. Like this is like in Mar-a-Lago. like what?
What does Mar-a-Lago mean in Hebrew?
It means I'm trying to think of something fun.
Direct correlation. What is it, Andy?
Home of. I think of something fun.
Direct correlation. What is it, Andy?
Home of
the Antichrist.
I hope y'all are writing all this down in y'all's notebook because we're just following the facts where all this is taking us. Mar-a-Lago is a resort and national historic landmark on a barrier island in Palm Beach, Florida, United States. It spans 126 rooms and 62,500 square feet. So, 62, 6 plus 2 is 8, plus 5 equals 13. Let's keep going. And there's James O'Keefe with the Ark of the Covenant at Mar-a-Lago. And there's Laura Loomer with the Ark of the Covenant at Mar-a-Lago. That's supposed to represent the full representation of God on the earth at Mar-a-Lago. Trump to return artifacts sent to Israel and held at Mar-a-Lago. Why does Trump have artifacts from Jerusalem in Mar-a-Lago? This new Ark of the Covenant was mainly built in the United States, and after it was completed, it was delivered to the home of Donald Trump at his Mar-a-Lago residence before it was taken to Israel to visit sites there, and finally ended up in Jerusalem in recent days. It has been reported that Donald Trump converted to Judaism during his first term, and excitement among the Zionists skyrocketed as it was reported that Donald Trump would spearhead efforts to build a new temple in Jerusalem where currently the Al-Aqsa Mosque stands. So it's speculated that where they joked while it was there, and then they said home of the Antichrist. And then now it's been speculated that Trump has converted to Judaism. January 29th, the day of the helicopter collision. This is from Jewish Insider. Trump to marshal all federal resources to fight anti-Semitism with new executive order. Are the Noahide laws coming if he converted to Judaism? And he held the Ark of the Covenant for 8 months. This person posted on Facebook. The last time I checked, he's talking about the executive order that says you cannot talk bad about the Jews. This person wrote, the last time I checked, there was still a First Amendment that gave the right to the freedom of speech. There's no exceptions to it for hate speech or anti-Semitism. These executive orders by Trump that seek to punish anti-Semitism are completely illegal, and this is a lawyer writing this, and are exactly what I expected from him. Somehow it is now legal to override the Constitution with an executive order. Months ago, I posted Trump would rip up what remained of the Constitution to protect the Jews. This is just the beginning. Make no mistake about it. These laws will be expanded over the next 4 years to cover every possible situation just because it irritates the Jews in some way. Trump is an anti-Constitution, pro-police state, and pro-Jewish oligarchy. Trump orders reviewed to identify and punish and deport anti-Semites, including students on visas. So we've got the Knights of Templar who worship Baphomet, who were after the Ark of the Covenant. Donald Trump had, quote, a replica of the Ark of the Covenant. But what did that clip say? It says, if the real one still existed, wouldn't it behoove you to say it is a replica of it? So we've got Pete Hegseth, who's the head of the Department of Defense, who's going to be investigating this helicopter collision, who is a Knight of Templar person with this big old Crusader cross on him. And Trump, who's got, this is like we fell into a sci-fi movie, the Matrix movie or something. And Trump had the Ark of the Covenant at Mar-a-Lago, which represented God on the earth. The Ark of the Covenant, Trump and the Ark of the Covenant, end of days prophecy. The Ark of the Covenant is a crucial but unknown part of biblical prophecy that involves the Antichrist and the second coming of Christ. We are so close to the end. We are so close. Everything's about to come to an end. We are at the last pages of the book. Let's continue just following the facts. We are in a spiritual war. No ands, ifs, or buts. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. Everything that's going on around us, it's not people, it's evil spirits, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, the people that worship Baphomet versus the people that worship God. There is a fight going on, a fight of light and a fight of darkness. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And the people at the top that are following after Baphomet, the angel of light, the devil himself can transform himself into an angel of light. We're believing whatever stories are coming out of their mouth. But the Bible says when the devil speaks, he speaks lies because lies is his native language. Deception is all around us. We have to use the spirit of discernment because we are in a spiritual war. They told us that the Army Black Hawk crew involved in the DC crash was made up of top pilots with thousands of hours of experience. So how did it happen? Does this situation ring true? Or does it feel deceptive? Does it all feel evil?
I'm a military pilot, and two of my buddies right now are all military pilots. We have had thousands and thousands of hours in flight. Same route every day, all the time. We've been in combat zones. We're in a Black Hawk military helicopter. This is like riding a bicycle. We know where we're going. We know the routes. I know what to do with these joysticks. If there's potentially, anything in the way, we know what we're doing. And if I don't know what I'm doing, then for sure my buddy next to me knows what I'm doing with thousands and thousands of flight hours. And if he doesn't know what he's doing with thousands and thousands of hours flying helicopters, then for sure our third co-pilot knows exactly what we're doing, where we're going, what our route is, standard route that we take day in and day out all the time. So the fact of the matter is that three military helicopter pilots, not one, not two, but three, just so happened to think that that was a bird. With Russians on board. Okay, whatever you say. Okay.
And Defense Secretary, Knights of Templar man Pete Hegseth provides an update on the Black Hawk helicopter involved in the mid-air collision, says it has fairly experienced crew. So, this collision had me baffled, and I kept pondering the question, why? And trying to answer these questions. What would be the motive to do this? Does the government want more control over flight? Did Hitler take over airlines? So I typed in, did Hitler take control of airlines? Yes. When Hitler came to power, he effectively took control of German airlines by establishing the Luftwaffe German Air Force and appointing Hermann Göring as its leader, essentially militarizing the existing civilian airline. Watch President Trump signs presidential memorandum ordering an immediate assessment of aviation safety. We are about to see their order out of chaos. DCA's runway 33 shut down until February 7th following the deadly plane crash. Now let's hear from the CEO of American Airlines talking about the crash. And y'all tell me if this feels weird.
Hello, everyone. I'm Robert Isom, the CEO of American Airlines. I want to brief you on a serious accident that occurred involving an American Eagle aircraft. The aircraft was operated by PSA Airlines, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of American Airlines. First and most importantly, I'd like to express our deep sorrow about these events. This is a difficult day for all of us at American Airlines, and our efforts now are focused entirely on the needs of our passengers, crew members, partners, first responders, along with their families and loved ones. I know that there are many questions, and at this early stage, I'll not be able to answer all of them, but I do want to share the information I have at this time. American Eagle Flight 5342, operated by PSA Airlines, a CRJ 700 aircraft traveling from Wichita, Kansas to Washington Reagan National Airport, has been involved in an accident near Washington, D.C. It appears to have collided with a military aircraft on approach. Flight 5342 was under the command of 4 crew members and carried 60 passengers for a total of 64 people on board. We are actively working with local, state, and federal authorities on emergency response efforts, and the American Airlines care team has been activated to assist our passengers and their families. We're cooperating fully with the National Transportation Safety Board in its investigation and will continue to provide all the information we can. Our cooperation is without pause, and we want to learn everything we can about today's events. That work will take time, but anything we can do now, we're doing. And right now, that means focusing on taking care of all passengers and crew involved, as well as their families. Members of our GO team will be on their way to Washington, D.C., and I'll be heading there shortly as well. We know that many people will be concerned for the welfare of their loved ones, and we've set up a special helpline friends and family can call at 1-800-679-8215. That's 1-800-679-8215. If you believe you've had friends or family on board American Eagle Flight 5342. We understand and appreciate that people are eager for information. Please know that we'll continue to share accurate and timely information as soon as we can. But anything we must report must be accurate. We owe that to everyone involved. Our team of highly trained professionals will be working around the clock to support our passengers, crew, and their families, however we can, and we'll update you as soon as we can. Thank you.
Did that just seem off? Did it almost seem like a little duper's delight going on? Now, earlier in the video, we read that the Black Hawk helicopter had left the CIA headquarters. Would the CIA take down a plane? Let's look down this tunnel. Again, there was people reporting that it had left the CIA headquarters according to the flight data. Did the Black Hawk helicopter take off from the CIA headquarters before colliding with the American Airlines plane? New theory emerges. American Airlines Flight 5342 collided with U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac River. The Black Hawk helicopter that flew autonomously in D.C., that same make and model. The American Airlines Flight 5342 collided with the U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac River near Reagan National Airport. The plane had departed from Wichita, Kansas, while the helicopter's origins remains unclear, fueling speculation that it may have taken off from the CIA headquarters. Officials confirmed the Black Hawk was on a training flight. Search and rescue efforts are ongoing. Would the CIA take down a plane? We're going where the facts are leading us. From 2005, CIA runs network of charter airlines. The New York Times reports on a secret network of small, ostensibly private air transport companies employed by the Central Intelligence Agency to fly agents and transport terror suspects to all parts of the world. According to the report, an analysis of thousands of flight records, aircraft regulations, and corporate documents, as well as interviews with former CIA officers and pilots, show that the agency owns at least 26 planes, 10 of them purchased since 2001. The Times reports that the agency has concealed the ownership behind a web of 7 shell corporations. I typed in, does the CIA sabotage planes? Yes, the CIA has been involved in sabotage operations, including a program to sabotage civilian and military targets in Cuba. I typed in CIA takes down planes. The CIA has been involved in several incidences where planes were taken down, including the shooting down of a U-2 spy plane over the Soviet Union in 1960 and a CIA helicopter shooting down a North Vietnamese biplane in 1968.
Call me a conspiracy theorist, but there has been multiple plane crashes in America over the past few days, and something is just not adding up. So watch this. An advanced military Black Hawk helicopter with 2 trained pilots flies directly into a commercial jet in Washington, D.C. Can we see the passenger list of the commercial jet? The commercial jet had its landing lights on, and yet this helicopter with, again, 2 pilots and anti-collision technology was flying above where it should be and somehow didn't see the commercial jet and flew directly into it. And this just happened in Philadelphia. And you think these are just coincidences? Okay.
From 5 years ago, let's look at what a plane looks like when it's taken down by a missile.
Well, investigative journalists at Bellingcat have done some analysis on this video, and it seems to be a video that shows the moment the missile strikes the aircraft. So we'll roll the video and talk you through it. Now, it's coming in from a westward direction, left to right on your screen. You can't see the Ukrainian Airlines aircraft. It's just too dark, but it was climbing out of Tehran International Airport. And you'll see now the moment the two collide.
Does that look familiar?
There's then another object that you'll see spin off into the distance, probably the aircraft. We've seen other video of the aircraft on fire before it explodes on the ground. So, moving on with this analysis done by Bellingcat, we can also look at other elements.
And here's the video of the American Airlines flight. Could a missile have hit this?
Show you some new video we are just getting in from EarthCam here, and I do want to warn you that, yeah, you can see the moment of impact down there toward the bottom right-hand side of your screen. That's another plane taking off at the time, but when the camera zooms back out, you're going to see that explosion in just a moment. There it is, right there. So again, and you can see just how the plane went down, the helicopter went down. Again, we're hearing 60 people were on board this flight trying to land at Reagan National at the time. When it was with the helicopter, not too far away from Joint Base Anacostia Bowling and Reagan National Airport, the two collided midair.
I typed in, I'm just following facts. Does Black Hawk helicopter have missiles? Yes, Black Hawk helicopters can be equipped with missiles. Hellfire missiles are Hydra rockets.
But now we're going to go back in time, and I'm going to ask you who you think did each of these huge events, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The killing of MLK Jr.
That was a CIA operation because they considered him a dangerous communist. And both the FBI was bugging in churches where he was giving some of his speeches in churches. They were bugging the podiums and following him around. He was a top target for elimination.
JFK.
I think that was a CIA hit, and they may have employed some mafia connections to carry it out because that was their mafia assassination
Exactly.
program.
LBJ was very involved in all that in Dallas. And so
He was an evil man.
He was an evil man. Okay, what about Pearl Harbor?
They knew the attack was coming. They knew where it was going to happen in Pearl Harbor and when. And they told no one, and they let it happen on purpose. That's from the commander of the Pacific Fleet. I would say that's a pretty credible witness. So, yeah. That was a false flag.
They've admitted that. They admitted they heard it was going to happen. And, how else were you going to get Americans to be on the side of this war? That had nothing to do with us. Which brings us to 9/11. Your opinion?
My opinion, as a criminal investigator, as a former CIA officer, 9/11 was not the act of a bunch of poorly flight-trained terrorists that executed an unbelievably meticulous piloting of those aircraft. Even pilots, there's pilots for 9/11 Truth now, and they say, we could not have done that. Experienced pilots could not have made those maneuvers. Not possible. And then we go to the passport issue, and we go to the Tower 7, which was a controlled demolition.
Obviously.
You talk to any structural engineer, and I have. Well, that was a controlled demolition. I mean, it was perfect. And the fact, I think George W. Bush blacked out, I think it was 40 pages of the 9/11 report dealing with Saudi Arabia. And the report came out, the 9/11 Commission report came out, but those pages were blacked out, and he refused to unredact them. So wait a minute, this report was supposed to be for the American people on what happened, and you blacked all these pages out? What in the world? I do not think that it was a bunch of poorly trained or untrained terrorists that did it. I think there was another source behind it. I think it was intentional. And I'm going just from a criminal investigative perspective, just looking at the evidence, what evidence we have, that was an intentional act. And it would fall right into the MO that you and I are talking about. Horrible event. because human life does not matter to the shadow government deep state, or especially the CIA. It does not matter. They're pawns on their chessboard. They don't care that 3,000 people were horribly killed that day, but it achieved the aim of gutting the U.S. Constitution, bringing in the horrific Patriot Act, giving the CIA unthinkable authority for secret prisons and torture beyond waterboarding and secret renditions and all of that. The FBI, the ability to spy on Americans, came out of the Patriot Act. So it was the perfect national security state energizer that the Patriot Act was, and 70 of the congressmen and senators that read the Patriot Act didn't even read it. They just signed off on it without even reading the bill. So, yeah, I mean, that's my view.
Did y'all hear what he said? Human life does not matter to the CIA.
Deep state, or especially the CIA, it does not matter. They're pawns on their chessboard. They don't care that 3,000 people were horribly killed that day.
So would the CIA take down a plane? It would not be past the realm of possibility. Breaking. The female Black Hawk helicopter pilot has been identified, and she was a former Biden White House aide. So you remember at first they said it was Joy Ellis? Well, now they've identified, after a couple of days delay, they got another woman's name in the news now. And she worked in the Biden White House. The CIA and the president's an ever-changing relationship. The sprawling CIA has thousands of eyes and ears, but only one client. And the client for the CIA is the President of the United States. So, and now they're saying that the third female pilot was an aide in the Biden White House. Could she be a CIA person? Would the CIA take down a plane? 2008, December 11th. CIA helped shoot down 15 civilian planes. December 11th. 11, number of Illuminati and Freemasons. With the help of CIA spotters, the Peruvian Air Force shot down 15 small civilian aircraft suspected of carrying drugs. November 20th, 2008, CIA faulted in shooting down of missionary plane. Ron Brown dies in plane crash, April 3rd, 1996. On this day, 1996, Ron Brown, then Secretary of Commerce in the Clinton administration, was killed along with 34 others, all but 2 of them Americans, when their Air Force CT-43 plane crashed into a mountainside near Croatia. In 1993, President Bill Clinton had appointed Ron Brown the first African-American Secretary of Commerce. Ron Brown. Did CIA assassinate Ron Brown? Ron Brown's body. How one man's death saved the Clinton presidency and Hillary's future. It says, why did the White House suppress the investigation? Why did his plane crash, and why did the White House, the Clintons, suppress the investigation? The reviews on that book, best book I've ever read, fiction or nonfiction. Spellbinding real-life thriller about events that changed America, an incredibly untold story that foreshadows the perils of today. Must read. Such corruption that the mainstream media never reported on. This is how we lose liberty. For assassins desiring to get rid of a political opponent, a plane crash would appear to be an ideal method. And this helicopter supposedly took off from the CIA headquarters. and unmanned Black Hawk helicopters have flown through D.C. For assassins desiring to get rid of a political opponent, a plane crash would appear to be the ideal method. In plane crashes, evidence of sabotage is often destroyed, or at least can be made to appear so during any subsequent investigation. Also, the public knows that accidents do happen and that planes do sometimes crash all by themselves. One day after the crash, before any real investigation had begun, Defense Secretary William Perry told the Associated Press that the plane crash was a classic sort of accident that good instrumentation should be able to prevent. The Air Force soon agreed, and its ensuing investigation determined the tragic event was due to navigational error. Since that time, certain anomalies have come to light regarding the crash. Ron Brown was found with a 45-inch inwardly beveling circular hole in the top of his head, which resembled a gunshot wound. Despite the suspicion, the Air Force medical examiners decided not to order an autopsy. The Air Force reported that a navigation beacon had been stolen from the airport sometime before the crash. This led some to speculate that the pilot may have been intentionally drawn off course into the mountains by a spurious beacon. 3 days after the crash, Nico Jurkic, the man who was responsible for maintaining the airport's navigational aids, died by gunshot. This was ruled a suicide. Jurkic's untimely death meant that investigators did not have a chance to question him. And for time's sake, I'm not going to show this. Y'all can go look at it. I've shown this video many, many times on my channel. Larry McDonald was a congressman from Georgia, and he was exposing the New World Order and their desire for a one world government. And right after this TV interview, he was murdered. And people are saying the CIA did it 4 months later. This was his flight. Korean Airlines Flight 007. The Soviet Air Forces treated the unidentified aircraft as an intruding U.S. spy plane and destroyed it with air-to-air missiles. Who killed Larry McDonald? It is common knowledge to all pilots flying over Soviet territory that aircraft going beyond certain points inside Russian borders will be forced to land or be shot down. If the CIA and the National Security Agency wanted Larry McDonald dead, thereby assuring an international incident, isolating pilots from the instructions or warnings would be essential. The way to accomplish this is either to tamper with radio transmission or the pilot's minds, or both. And what did that one guy say? Were they hypnotized? And this was from 1984, and it talks about fooling radio transmissions to the pilot's mind.
People on board American Airlines flight crashes with a military helicopter. But what kind of helicopter? This helicopter only carries VIP officials. So what if, theoretically, someone hypnotizes this pilot, triggers the hypnosis, and then the pilot decides to fly its plane right into a landing strip, fucking plane, they know better, okay? The best pilots in the world, flies right in front of an American Airlines airline and collides midair, killing everyone on board. Who was on that flight? Who was on that helicopter? Who did they do this to? This is not an accident, guys. This does not happen. This does not happen. It happened on purpose. The question is, why did it happen? Who was on that plane? Who was on that helicopter?
So, now that we know the CIA owns planes, takes out planes, uses assassinations as a cover with airplanes, I'll put, does the CIA collaborate with the military? Yes, the CIA collaborates with the United States military. I'll put CIA-owned airlines. The Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, secretly owned and operated several airlines. The CIA owned airlines, including Air America, Southern Air, and Civil Air Transport. The CIA used these airlines to support covert operations during the Vietnam War. Oh, and they did more than that. The Air America airline was an American passenger and cargo airline established in 1946 and covertly owned and operated by the CIA from 1950 to 1976. You think they got out of the owning airlines business? It says Southern Air, the CIA's favorite airline. 1988. Barry Seal from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, right down the road from where I grew up. Barry Seal is supposed to have been the best pilot. He worked for the CIA. He brought down the drug cartels by the CIA. It says, Tosh Plumley claims that Barry Seal began working for the CIA in the mid-1950s, and he owned Southern Air, the CIA's favorite airline, around the same time they were buying airlines. Barry Seal was involved with military intelligence in the early days. Military intelligence was the real game, with the CIA just acting as a logistics people. Barry was a peripheral player back then, but he was a CIA contact pilot all the way back to 1956 or 1957. Southern Air Transport. Up until 1965, they were chartered scheduled hybrids. For much of that time, the carrier was owned by the CIA from 1960 to 1973. The ex-CIA airline tied to cocaine, a connection between a Colombian cocaine kingpin and Southern Air Transport, the former CIA airline involved in the Iran-Contra affair. Why does George W. Bush fly in drug smuggler Barry Seal's plane? Why does George W. Bush fly in drug smuggler Barry Seal's airplane? This was by Michael Rupert. Now, I've shown this clip a lot on my channel, but I'm going to show it again. Former Los Angeles Police narcotics detective Michael Rupert speaks to members of the Black community. So he was a Los Angeles Police narcotics detective, and he wrote that piece, Why Does George W. Bush Ride Around in Drug Smuggler Barry Seal's Plane? Well, listen to this.
I will tell you, Director Deutsch, as a former Los Angeles Police narcotics detective, that the agency has dealt drugs throughout this country for a long time.
All right, obviously that is an answer for a lot of you. Now can you please?
I refer...
All right, now can you please?
I refer direct...
Wait a minute. Wait a minute here. Wait a minute. If you don't like what's going on here, please leave now. No, leave now, because there are others who do want to hear what's going on in this room. Will you please take your seats? I will come back to you as we Row back across to the center section.
Director Deutsch, I will refer you to 3 specific agency operations known as Amadeus, Pegasus, and Watchtower. I have Watchtower documents heavily redacted by the agency. I was personally exposed to CIA operations and recruited by CIA personnel who attempted to recruit me in the late 70s to become involved in protecting agency drug operations in this country. I have been trying to get this out for 18 years, and I have the evidence. My question for you is very specific, sir. If in the course of the IG's investigations and Fred Hitz's work, you come across evidence of severely criminal activity,
Let him speak into
and
the
it's
mic.
classified, will you use that classification to hide the criminal activity, or will you tell the American people the truth?
All right, you want to hear the response first from Congressman Julian Dixon and then from the director. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, sir. I will allow the director to speak first and then Congressman Julian Dixon.
If you have information about CIA illegal activity in drugs, you should immediately bring that information to wherever you want, but let me suggest 3 places. The Los Angeles Police Department,
Please. I'm sorry, others want to hear this answer. I am sorry, others want to hear this answer.
It is your choice, the Los Angeles Police Department, the Inspector General, or office of one of your Congress persons from this.
18 years ago, sir, and I got shot at for it.
Wait a minute, sir. Wait a minute, sir. And? Sir, you have not gotten the mic yet. You are not. But wait a minute, then don't speak out of turn.
Let me say something else. If this information turns up wrongdoing, we will bring the people to justice and make them accountable.
All right, Congressman Dixon.
Thank you, sir, for coming.
Wait a minute here. I thought you did not want to be here, but now that you are here, please let us hear and listen. Thank you very much.
Sir, I want to thank you for coming. You were at the last meeting. The staff probably had the spelling of your name wrong, but we would like to talk to you. We have been looking for a couple of days for you, and we want to make sure that you contact the committee, because obviously you have some valuable information. If you want to give it to me privately, if you want to hand it to that aide where I can contact you this evening, please do it. Don't let us get away without getting a contact for you.
Thank you, sir.
Pass it up to him now so everyone can see that I got it. That would be fine.
Thank you, sir. And for the record,
Please keep the noise down so that we can hear and we can get answers.
For the record, my name is Mike Ruppert, Ruppert. I did bring this information out 18 years ago, and I got shot at and forced out of LAPD because of it. I've been on the record for 18 years nonstop, and I'll be happy to give you, Congressman, anything that I have.
Thank you, Mr. Ruppert.
He said he'd been shot at trying to expose the CIA, and a few years later, they reported he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And that's the same guy that wrote the piece, Why Does George W. Bush Fly Around in Drug Smuggler Barry Seals' Airplane? He said he'd been shot at for trying to expose the dirty dealings of the CIA, and then he dies by self-inflicted gunshot wound. Now, remember, Barry Seal worked for the CIA running drugs. And then Mike Rupert, who was killed, Barry Seals was killed by the CIA. Mike Rupert probably was. Mike Rupert wrote the piece, Why is George Jr. Bush flying around in Barry Seals' airplane? Well, this was from BuzzFeed. Did you know that when Barry Seal was killed, he had Daddy Bush's telephone number on his body? Bush's personal pilot. And when Barry Seals was killed, he had Bush's phone number in his back pocket. So how the whole Iran-Contra affair got exposed was this reporter out of California, the San Jose Mercury News, Gary Webb. In 1996, Gary Webb exposed how the CIA hired drug traffickers to sell massive amounts of cocaine in the U.S. in order to raise untraceable funds to finance terrorist organizations who were trying to overthrow the Nicaraguan government. He wrote a series called Dark Alliance, the CIA, the Contras, and Crack Cocaine. The Contras, cocaine, and the U.S. secret covert operations. The same thing that Mike Rupert got killed for exposing. Gary Webb started exposing it. How the CIA watched over the destruction of Gary Webb. And here was 1996 Gary Webb on Montel Williams' TV show talking about it. The CIA and drugs.
And Gary, this really, I think the current fervor over this issue is because of your article. A lot of people may not be familiar with what the Dark Alliance meant and stands for. Why don't you tell America what the story is about first, and then we'll talk about the issues.
It was about a cocaine ring that operated along the west coast of the United States throughout most of the 80s. And they were funneling, they were selling cocaine in South Central. They were also selling it in Oakland. They were selling it in San Francisco. They were selling it in San Jose. And some of the money they were making was going to support an army that the men who ran the cocaine ring worked for, called the FDN.
So the U.S. government was flooding the streets of California with cocaine.
Was an army that the CIA started in 1981 and supported.
Better known to us, most of us who remember news, the Contras from Nicaragua. So go right ahead.
The men that were running the cocaine ring were top officials of this Contra army. And what we found was that they were selling this stuff in South Central, which is, predominantly black section of Los Angeles, immediately before the outbreak of the crack cocaine epidemic. They started selling powder. Tons and tons and tons of powder cocaine was going into this one small area of the city. And from there, they sold it to Freeway Rick. And Freeway Rick took the powder, turned it into crack, and starting in 1983, 1984, began distributing it to predominantly the gangs, the Crips and the Bloods in Los Angeles, and they spread it, from there.
From there. Now, since this has happened, you have butted heads with everybody in Washington, D.C., trying to get information about the story. Have you not?
Yeah, we worked on this for a year, and it was only because, some people at National Archives believe freedom of information means freedom of information. We got some documents that showed that pretty strongly that there were some CIA connections to this.
Let's talk a little bit about those documents for a second.
And what do you think happened to Gary Webb? Investigative reporter Gary Webb, who linked CIA to crack sales, found dead of apparent suicide. Gary Webb, according to the coroner, killed himself with 2 gunshots to the head. Gary Webb famously died of 2 gunshot wounds to the head, and his death was ruled a suicide, just like Mike Rupert. Just like Larry McDonald getting killed. Just like Barry Seal got killed. Barry Seal's plane, who was the CIA's favorite airline, Southern Air. He wrote books about him. His life was written, Barry and the Boys, about cocaine and the government, cocaine politics, drugs, armies, the CIA. There's a book, American Made, Who Killed Barry Seal? Look whose name comes up. Tom Cruise starred in a movie about him. That was Barry Seal being killed at the Salvation Army in 70805 in Baton Rouge, where I grew up. Killed in his car, and he had Daddy Bush's number on him.
Barry, they're going to kill you, friend. Who influenced the judge? The judge killed him because he has already testified against all these Colombians, and the judge gives him 6 months in a halfway house. And the DEA stood up in court and said, Your Honor, this is a death sentence. They will kill him. He said he should have thought of that before he did this.
Wow.
And he said, well, he going to have bodyguards? No, a guy in prison can't have bodyguards. He can't have arms. He can't have nothing. He got to drive right up into that halfway house every night at 6 o'clock. And they was waiting on him, just riddled him. You can see the pictures on the internet. They said he put his hands over his ears. He shot him like 50 times in the car when he came up.
Oh, my God.
Well, I cried. I went to Mari and Miriam. They cried.
Mm-hmm.
He was our friend.
Right.
Even though he testified, he did the best he could. The CIA had left him holding the bag. 100% they set him up. I said, Barry, they go.
Tom Cruise made a movie about Barry Seal, but it was not believable. The best movie is Double Crossed with Dennis Hopper. That is a very good reenactment of the Barry Seal story. Double Crossed, how the government double crossed Barry Seal. And he worked for the CIA and they double crossed him. Barry Seal, now are y'all ready for this part? Barry Seal, in 1952, you remember they took over his airline. While still a teenager, Barry Seal enlisted in the Civil Air Patrol in Baton Rouge, the patrol's New Orleans unit, where he met Lee Harvey Oswald. In 1955, Barry Seal joined the Civil Air Patrol in Baton Rouge. According to John Odom, a fellow Civil Air Patrol member, Seal met Lee Harvey Oswald during this training. So Barry Seal knew Lee Harvey Oswald, and it said that Barry Seal was an intelligence person. Well, this is from November 22nd, 2023, when Lee Harvey Oswald says, I'm just a patsy. Now, this is him being apprehended right after Kennedy's assassination. Does this seem like a man who just assassinated the president? Does he seem anxious? Does he seem proud of himself? Is he smiling at what he accomplished? Or does this really seem like a man who does not know why he's been apprehended?
I'd like some legal representation. These police officers have not allowed me to have any. I don't know what this is all about.
Kill the president?
No, it's all I did is people keep asking me that. Sir?
You shoot the president?
I work in that building.
Were you in the building at the time?
Naturally, if I work in that building, yes, sir.
Back up, man.
Come on, man. No, they're taking me in because of the fact that I lived in the Soviet Union. I'm just a patsy.
President?
I'm just a patsy. Definitions of patsy: a person who is gullible and easy to take advantage of. A chump, the fall guy, the fool, the gull, the mark, the mug, the soft touch, the sucker, the dupe, the pigeon, the victim. I'm just a patsy. And just like I said, Barry Seal was part of the intelligence community. Lee Harvey Oswald had formed an alliance with the U.S. intelligence community as a young man in the Civil Air Patrol, with David Ferrie is who led it, and Barry Seal. They both were part of the the intelligence community, and they were both taken out. And here's Jack Ruby assassinating Lee Harvey Oswald. Keep him from talking.
Basement floor of the Dallas City Hall, and that's a scuffle on the basement floor. It seems to concern the He has been shot. Oswald has been shot.
So the CIA has a long history of engaging in dirty work, activities that are unpleasant or dishonest and given to someone else to undertake. Who is the only U.S. president to work for the CIA? President George H.W. Bush is the only former director of the CIA to become president of the United States, in effect becoming the most important consumer of the intelligence products and agency he once led. And we saw the CIA has one consumer, one customer, and that's the president. And the CIA engages in dirty work. And this plane, this helicopter, the Black Hawk helicopter, supposedly took off from the CIA. We're just following the facts. Look down this tunnel. The Hawaiian official who confirmed Barack Obama's birth certificate. You remember all the birth certificate scandal? They wanted to see the long form birth certificate. The lady that signed off on his birth certificate as being authentic died in a plane crash in 2013. Now watch this graphic arts guy pull up the birth certificate, the one that the lady signed off as being true and then dies.
Because I just saw some video online that said Obama's birth certificate is fake, and it's on the whitehouse.gov. Apparently you can download it, and so I did. I'm a professional designer, guys. I'm a professional designer. If you look behind me, look 3D printers and like wave format printers, all this stuff. Okay, like I do this all the time. Like I've done photo editings. This is insane. I am like shook at the intensity. I gotta show you this. So here we go. We're on, I just type in Obama certificate. Here, I'll just type it in, enter. Here you go. Obama certificate, long form PDF. This says the White House, or the Obama White House archives.gov. This is the official .gov website, okay? This is Obama's birth certificate, supposedly. But what I'm about to show you is gonna blow your mind. Like I'm downloading it right now. We're downloading it. Let's bring it up in the files. You know, I've done this a few times now at this point because I'm like, I can't even believe this is real. So, and let's open this up in Illustrator, okay? In Illustrator. And I'm like thinking, okay, well, that's, you know, could be legit, except for, wait a second, there's bounding boxes on here. So you can delete the bounding boxes and in Illustrator, and if you delete them, you can move the entire background document off of the page. And you can literally separate it, and you can see that this is the original document with the original text on it, that this has been completely photo edited, and they put this ghosting effect on here. And this is like, I can't even believe this. And even the background's been edited because this pattern just repeats like it was on the page, but it like curls around. I don't know what that's about. That's weird. But all of this is separated. These are separate window boxes. This is from the White House's website. Look, I literally just downloaded this. And look, it's like crazier than that. Look, the entire document has separation components. Like, their date stamps are two tonal different colors. Like, they can be moved separate. Like, I'm just blown away. I'm blown away at how terrible of a Photoshop job this is. There is like some artifacting things here, it looks like. This is literally, look, some weird artifacting thing to try to make it look more legit or something. I don't know. I mean, this is insane. Like, this document is clearly a faked document. How come nobody has bothered to look at this document and say, hey, that might not be legit? How come seriously no designer with any experience looked at this and go, yeah, it looks a little funny. You see this glow around the text? That's clearly photo editing. Like, I'm just blown away right now. Like, this is insane. And then not only that, like, I'm really good at this. Let's just put it that way. Like, And then let's open this in Photoshop in this thing. Now, edit PDF. They've literally, I noticed that PDF can even detect the background, even in the PDF viewer, can detect that it's separate and different. So you guys can like do this yourself. You don't even need to have Illustrator. It knows that the background layers have been edited and modified. And you can come in here and even type. Look, you can type up new names. Like type whatever you want. You can change this. This is like an editable, like it's easily recognizably editable document. Look at that. I am blown away right now that this was even, like, I can't believe this is fake. So Obama, let's just change his name to Boma. Let's try Boma. Bomama. This is all fake. Wow. Wow. I am literally blown away right now. This is on the government website. The government website, guys, has this very exact file. You can download it right now. The government website has this file of Obama's supposed birth certificate that is so clearly a fake, manipulated, altered document. I'm speechless at this point. So like Obama legitimately was not born here at all. Like legit. Like that's a fake document. What does that mean? Why would they put a fake document out there? Wow, this makes me like really consider how deep the lies actually are right now.
Now remember, the CIA has one client, and it's the President of the United States. And they pushed a birth certificate out there, and the lady who signed off on it dies in a plane crash, which is their favorite method to eliminate people. So the CIA takes people out in plane crashes. They serve at the pleasure of the president. She certified his birth certificate. So she signed off on his birth certificate, then dies in a plane crash so that she could never be ever questioned about the birth certificate. And yes, the CIA works with the Department of Defense. Pete Hegseth, who's going to be investigating the collision, works at the Department of Defense, and he works with the CIA. What's going to get covered up? About the CIA, CIA.gov. We are not a law enforcement organization. However, we do work with the intelligence community, Department of Defense, and law enforcement agencies. Is it possible that the government was involved in this helicopter airplane collision?
So this recent crash is pretty trippy. So if you look here, here's that helicopter. Here's that plane on final approach. They should see each other. They both got their lights blinking.
Okay, we just lost.
The dude on TV said the helicopter was taking off, trying to go up, but no, it's coming in horizontal. Watch. There it comes.
Yeah, when John's phone was let us know. Let's bring in first responder and former Phoenix Star.
They should have seen each other.
And Jason,
that's hella suspect.
About this, I mean, they've been.
The American Airlines plane can be seen flying towards the airport before the two collide, causing a mid-air explosion and fall into the river. In a second video, you can see the Army helicopter and American Airlines plane travel toward each other. After the collision and subsequent
So does anyone want to explain how or why CNN was able to report this plane crash 5 and 6 hours before it happened? What? See the timestamp? 10:43 p.m. 5 hours before it happened? 6 hours before it happened? What? So I'm not military, so I don't really know exactly what this means, but I've heard that the call sign on the helicopter was PAT 25, which I guess means priority air transport. So what was in that helicopter and who was on that plane? Those are my first two questions. Along with, I don't know, this suspicious activity. Something's happening. Once again, red flags left and right.
Let's look down this tunnel. Remember this guy, the CEO of American Airlines? Robert Isom? Robert Isom is the CEO of American Airlines and is a member of the Homeland Security Advisory Council. Secretary Mayorkas appointed Isom to the council March 2022. 322. And there's his picture on the official Department of Homeland Security website. So I went to the website, dhs.gov, Media Library, Robert Isom, member of Homeland Security Advisory Council, appointed by Mayorkas, 322. He is the CEO and current president of American Airline Group. The man that almost had duper's delight on his face works with the government. What is the role of DHS? The Department of Homeland Security works to improve the security of the United States. So there's Mayorkas. U.S. Republicans released 2 articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Mayorkas. Mayorkas, the U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security, appointed Robert Isom to the Homeland Security Advisory Council in 322. So many questions. Why was the Black Hawk reported as having left the CIA? Why is the military withholding the name of the female pilot? Well, now they've reported it, who it was, a Biden White House person. Why did Mayorkas appoint a American Airlines CEO to the DHS Council? Trump sworn into office the very same day he fires the FAA director. The next day, he orders a hiring freeze for air traffic controllers. Aviation Safety Advisory Committee disbanded the day after that, and a week later, buyout retirement demands sent to the existing employees. And then on January 29th, the first American mid-air collision happened in 16 years. Denial that the CIA is involved with American Airlines. Air America, the story of the CIA's secret airlines. I would recommend this book to any aviation history enthusiast who enjoys reading about the exploits of paramilitary aviation operations. So do you think that the CIA just got out of airline ownership in 1976? Or do you think they're still involved? Why is Robert Isom working with the government? Why hasn't the military addressed the incident? Why all the secrecy and confusion around the identity of the female pilot? Why did Joe Ellis come and give that weird statement on proof of life and then read a disclaimer on it? And what is the role of the DHS? To improve the security of the U.S., The department works with Customs, Border, and Immigration Enforcement, emergency response to natural and man-made disasters, and anti-terrorism work and cybersecurity. So let's go look at this clip of the CEO of American Airlines that is on the advisory board of the DHS.
I want to express my sincere condolences for the accident that happened at DCA last night. We're absolutely heartbroken for the family and loved ones of the passengers and crew members, and also for those that were on the military aircraft. Our focus right now is doing everything that we can to support all of those involved and also the PSA Airlines team. This is devastating. We are all hurting incredibly. We urge any family and friends looking for information about their loved ones to call our designated helpline, and that's at 1-800-679-8215.
And I want to know, why has he come out and given two statements? Why did he come and give out the one that he was standing by his cell phone that looked like he was almost smiling? And now why is he standing with a whole group of people behind him giving his same condolences? He's already done the speech, so why is he doing this again?
1-800-679-8215. And here's what I can share at this early stage. American Eagle Flight 5342, operated by PSA Airlines, traveling from Wichita, Kansas to Reagan National Airport, was involved in an accident just before 9 p.m. local time on final approach into Reagan National. It collided with a military aircraft on an otherwise normal approach. And at this time, we don't know why the military aircraft came into the path of the PSA aircraft. Flight 5342, a CRJ 700, was under the command of 4 crew members. It carried 60 passengers, as you know, for a total of 64 people on board.
So consider this. The CEO of the airline that was involved works with the government. Someone was on the plane that the CIA needed to take care of and does not want exposed. The CIA would have cover for the story via the CEO of the airline that would be involved. If he's working with the Department of Homeland Security for national security, he'd keep his mouth shut for the sake of the government. Do y'all smell a cover-up? Was it a false flag to usher in a new system? Did the government just pull a false flag so that they can usher in a new system? Air traffic control offices are in chaos in Trump's new administration. False flag. Remember, at first it was DEI, then the tranny connection, infighting, order out of chaos. Oh, I see I spelled chaos wrong. Define chaos, okay? So, false flag. A false flag operation is an act committed with the intent of disguising the actual source of responsibility and pinning the blame on another person. Let's follow the facts. Was this a false flag to bring in a new system? Trump has had a plan for the airlines reimagined since 2017. June 5th, 2017, whitehouse.gov. President Donald Trump's principles for reforming the U.S. air traffic control system. That was 2017. Now here we are. Air traffic control offices are in chaos in Trump's new administration. But in 2017, he wrote an executive order for reforming the U.S. air traffic control system. It didn't get accomplished in his first term, so now he's going to do it in his second. It says, in order to, this is from that whitehouse.gov, trumpwhitehouse.archives. In order to modernize our ATC system, the administration supports moving the FAA's air traffic control operations into a new non-governmental entity. This will enable ATC to keep pace with the accelerating rate of change in the aviation industry, including the integration of new entrants such as unmanned aircraft systems and commercial space transport. A more nimble air traffic control entity will also be able to more quickly and securely implement next generation technology. So write that down in your notebook. Next gen technology. January 31st, 2025, U.S. official vows to fix FAA after fatal collision. Aviation experts are puzzled by the deadly air crash in Washington. The U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said late on Thursday that he will soon announce a plan to reform the FAA after a devastating collision between an American Airlines regional plane and the Army helicopter killed 67 people. I am in the process of developing an initial plan to fix the FAA. No, plans have been in place since 2017, and they are about to capitalize on this. What is his new plan? From August 2023, FAA sends 22 unruly passenger cases to the FBI for possible prosecution. The FAA sends 22 unruly airplane passenger cases to the FBI for possible prosecution. Individuals could face criminal prosecution for alleged behavior that include cursing and yelling. Cursing and yelling on a plane will get you federal charges. Is the FBI charges federal crimes? Yes. The FBI charges are federal crimes, which are offenses that violate the U.S. federal law. The FBI is a federal agency that enforces federal laws and investigates criminal activities. So the FAA sent 22 passengers for federal prosecution. Where's this going, y'all? What happened January 20th, 9 days before this crash? Restoring the death penalty and protecting safety. Trump is calling for the death penalty for federal crimes. Trump signs a death penalty order directing attorney generals to help states get lethal injection drugs. Trump's new order to expand the death penalty misses key details. And y'all remember this from a couple of years ago? Rolling Stones reported on it. The former president wants to expand the use of death penalty and expand the government's options for carrying out government federal crimes. Firing squads, group executions, and guillotines. Haul out the guillotines. February 14, 2023. Business Insider. Trump has been asking advisors about firing squads. Former President Donald Trump has been asking advisors what they think of bringing back firing squads and other banned execution methods. And the FAA turned in passengers who were cursing or yelling on the plane over to the FBI to face federal charges. You can't cuss or yell on a plane without now facing federal charges. Now, from this Trump archives, it talked about revamping the FAA. A more nimble air traffic control entity will also be able to move more quickly and securely implement next generation technology. Next gen. Next gen represents an evolution from ground-based systems to air traffic control to a satellite-based system of air traffic management. Y'all, this was 8 years ago. They had a vision to revamp the air traffic control. June 5th, 2017, AOPA expresses concern about Trump's air traffic control plan. Trump called for the removal of air traffic control operations from the FAA and placing it under a nonprofit entity to be funded by user fees. Trump said, "We will launch this air travel revolution by modernizing the outdated system of air traffic control." How are they going to modernize it? Will Elon Musk save aviation in America? Will Wonder Boy, who put a Tesla car in space, be an aviation hero now? Is this what revamping the FAA is going to look like with the new next-gen technology? SpaceX works to educate airlines on the virtues of Starlink. And Trump's vision was for next-gen technology, okay, which would be an evolution from the old way, the evolution from a ground-based system of air traffic control to a satellite-based system. And Elon Musk is selling the airlines the virtues of Starlink. Yes, Starlink, referring to an in-flight internet on airplanes. Starlink is considered a next-gen technology. Trump's vision. Taking flight with Starlink, unleashing a new era of connected aviation, 2024. So this is Elon's new vision. Trump has him right up next to him. Elon Musk bumped FAA chief from post 10 days before DC plane helicopter crash. Aviation policy news. Open letter to air traffic control to Doge, Elon Musk, and Vivek Ramaswamy. The mid-air collision conspiracy. Was this a false flag to implement this overhaul, to bring in this next-gen technology that's linked to Starlink? Yes, Starlink has the potential to significantly revolutionize aviation by providing high-speed, low-latency internet access on airplanes, drastically improving the passenger experience by enabling seamless streaming, gaming, and work capabilities. It is not only going to revolutionize the experience of flying United, but is also going to unlock tons of new partnerships and businesses for our members that otherwise wouldn't be possible. All the airlines are installing Starlink Wi-Fi and will soon go live. This was yesterday, after the plane came down. United announces accelerated timeline for Starlink industry-leading connectivity in the sky. This was January 5th. United announces accelerated timeline. Can Starlink improve air traffic control? Yes, Starlink has the potential to significantly improve air traffic control by providing reliable high-speed internet connectivity to the aircraft, enabling better communication between pilots and air traffic controllers, especially in remote areas, leading to smoother flight operations and increased safety. This could facilitate real-time data sharing and quicker decision-making during critical situations. So did they take down this plane to implement this? Change is coming. How blockchain and Starlink could change our lives. Let's follow the facts. Let's look down this tunnel. A Starlink digital ID refers to the concept of using a user's unique digital identity to access and manage their Starlink internet services, essentially requiring verification through a digital ID to activate and control their Starlink device, potentially enhancing security and streamlining user management for the satellite internet provider. Blockchain can help create privacy-preserving digital ID. Blockchain-powered decentralized digital ID. Cryptocurrencies are usually built using blockchain technology. Trump's new meme coin soars on his first day in office. The future of money is here. Bitcoin biochip implant and brain-computer interfaces. Imagine a world where you can pay for anything with just a thought. No more cash, cards, or wallets. Just a tiny chip implanted in your brain that connects Bitcoin network and lets you transact. Do y'all see where we're going? Trump has a currency, a meme coin. Does blockchain require ID verification? With just your email address, you can utilize blockchain.com DeFi wallet to send, receive, and hold cryptocurrencies. However, verifying your identity unlocks additional features, including the ability to buy and sell. Does this sound biblical? And he causeth all, both small and great, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had digital ID. Save he that had the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of his name. And he causeth all, as would not worship the image of the beast, should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Ripple CEO says Trump's crypto transformation signals industry breakthrough. So finally, we're getting somewhere with cryptocurrencies because Trump is in office.
It was written off as a dino coin.
Dinosaur.
But after years of litigation and sideways price action, XRP has exploded back into the limelight. And the catalyst was simple. Trump is back in, Gary Gensler is out, and the regulatory shackles are finally coming off of Ripple. It was a recipe for a parabolic repricing, and the results were delicious. But what if this is just the beginning? Crypto has entered uncharted territory, and with Washington's war on crypto finally over, it's time to ask, what might the future hold for Ripple and XRP?
Check it out, Crypto Hulk. Want to thank Bank XRP for this one. Watch this. Brad Garlinghouse admits people that made Bitcoin, think about it, Satoshi, people that made Bitcoin made XRP. Listen.
This is it. And why did they use it rather than one of the credit cards or a regular banking system?
So first off, thanks for having me. Great to be here. Great to be with Joe. I will correct one thing right out of the gates. Ripple did not actually issue XRP. The XRP ledger is an open source, decentralized technology, not dissimilar than Bitcoin. And some of the creators of the XRP ledger actually had been early engineers that worked on Bitcoin.
Oh.
And they saw some of the scalability problems that Bitcoin is likely to have, the speed, both from an energy consumption, cost, some of the other problems. And they wanted to build a better digital asset to solve some of these problems.
The people that made Bitcoin made Ripple. I just thought I'd put that out there. My name's Crypto Hulk.
So Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO, says that Bitcoin people, Bitcoin engineers who saw the problems with Bitcoin wanted to improve upon it, so they created Ripple. And what does Ripple have that Bitcoin doesn't? Wait till we get into that. But look at this next part.
When you see that these two are using the XRP ledger and have partnered, there really shouldn't be a question about where we're headed. There really shouldn't be. BlackRock and JP Morgan are to facilitate 1.2 quadrillion on the XRP ledger across borders. I don't really need to tell you the power that BlackRock and JP Morgan have, right? I don't need to tell you. Now, this really shouldn't surprise you because remember, back in August of last year, Ripple joined BlackRock and JP Morgan as a member of the leading trade association, the ISDA. Now, what this did is it paved a way for the alliance for Ripple XRP to be integrated into the 1.2 quadrillion derivatives market. And it enhances the CFT system, right? The crypto trading fund, allowing users to earn CFT tokens as rewards for transactions made using crypto. This is combining traditional finance, TradFi, with blockchain technology, bringing in a new era of cross-border payments and financial opportunities to the forefront. What does this do? This positions XRP to take full advantage of the massive derivatives market. Ripple is solidifying its presence in traditional finance through its collaboration with ISDA, with BlackRock, with JP Morgan. The future of XRP.
So Ripple is on the blockchain. Trump wants to overhaul the FAA that will rely on blockchain. We saw the article how blockchain and Starlink will change your life. Everything is about to go on the blockchain. And Brad Garlinghouse said that people that used to work on Bitcoin wanted a better cryptocurrency, so they developed Ripple. And what does Ripple offer that Bitcoin doesn't? Ripple has an implantable RFID chip. There are multiple matches for Ripple RFID chip, including microchip implant for the cryptocurrency payments, and a challenge to a Colorado law requiring RFID tags on marijuana. Microchip implant for cryptocurrency payments. In 2018, BuyChip released a microchip implant that could be connected to the internet and used to make payments with Ripple cryptocurrency. And Elon Musk is investing that's BlackRock's investing $9 trillion. Elon Musk is also investing in XRP. He's taken XRP for payment on X. This says why Elon Musk's XRP connection could revolutionize digital finance. So Elon is even pushing it. Everything is about to go digital to get on the blockchain. Digital ID, digital wallets, digital currency, blockchain at the air traffic control. Everything is about to go digital. They are destroying America to bring in the New World Order, the Great Reset.
Hello and welcome to our Hackathon project video, where we showcase our innovative solution for the future of digital payments. Our project is called How Ripple CBDC Chip Implants Can Transform Your Life. Ripple is a company that provides solutions for central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, and stablecoins, which are digital versions of fiat currencies that are backed by reserves or assets. Ripple's CBDC platform offers a comprehensive platform for minting, managing, transacting, and each solution is built on a private ledger that is based on XRP Ledger technology, a proven blockchain that has transacted over 70 million times over the course of 10 years, and is trusted by financial institutions around the world. Ripple is currently working with more than 20 countries on CBDC plans, including Palau and Montenegro, who have chosen to partner with Ripple to create their national digital currencies. One of the key benefits of CBDCs and stablecoins is that they can enable faster, cheaper, and more inclusive payments for millions of people who are unbanked or underbanked. According to the International Monetary Fund, IMF, CBDCs in developing countries have the potential to bank large unbanked populations and boost financial inclusion. But how can you access these digital currencies in a convenient and secure way? That's where Ripple's CBDC chip implants come in. A chip implant is a small device that is inserted under your skin and contains a unique identifier and a secure cryptographic key. With a chip implant, you can store, send, and receive CBDCs and stablecoins using your own body as a wallet. You can also use your chip implant to authenticate yourself, access services, and make transactions without the need for passwords, cards, or cash.
Now, I'm not a computer science person, but this was from 6 months ago. Trump is 666.
ASCII keyboard codes transmit serially whenever a key is pressed, so for D-Trump the key presses D space TRUMP, end of text, end of transmission. That is how a keyboard sends it inside your device, and if you total up all those decimal codes, they add up to 666. Trump is the man in the Bible whose name is a number that is 666. His followers will wear his mark or image on their foreheads.
Now, Trump has a meme coin. Introducing the world's first electronic ink tattoo. Will this be the mark that they're wearing? Developers unveil electronic tattoos for payments and healthcare. QR code tattoo is the future of body art. 6 months ago, Trump shooting sparks new tattoo trend. So Trump supporters show off their new colorful tattoos and accessories. Trump supporters show off their colorful tattoos. 9-year-old girl gets tattoo in Arizona of Donald Trump. 9 years old. Florida man gets tattoo of Trump raising his fist after rally. It gave me chills. 151 Donald Trump tattoo stock photos. National Tattoo Day, Donald Trump. A new tattoo rose popularity in the wake of 2016 election. The face of Donald Trump. I got a huge Trump tattoo on my forehead. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Could it be an electronic tattoo with his image on it? And that no man might buy or sell. And you can have electronic tattoo to buy and sell with. No man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And they're being able to put QR codes in the middle of images. And now we've got the Trump tattoo craze going on. Then Trump appoints an AI and crypto czar. And AI and crypto are going to work with digital IDs. Trump names an AI and crypto czar. Agencies are falling short on Internet of Things cybersecurity compliance. So they got to get this ball rolling. How AI fraudsters are capitalizing on the slow rollout of digital ID. Does crypto need digital ID? Yes, when interacting with most cryptocurrency exchanges, you typically need a digital ID. In the fight against fraud, digital ID verification is an important part of crypto companies' arsenal. 2 days ago, advocacy group calls on Donald Trump's administration to speed up digital identities, separating facts from conspiracy. Conspiracy. A secret plan or by a group to do something unlawful or harmful. In criminal law, a conspiracy is an agreement between two or more people to commit a crime at some time in the future. Everything we are watching right now is political theater. Trump already had an existing plan to revamp the FAA. Then him and Elon start firing people. It's political theater. Watch President Trump 2 days ago. Watch President Trump sign presidential memorandum ordering immediate assessment of the aviation safety. Air traffic control offices are in chaos in Trump's new administration. Just follow the facts. Let's see where it's going to take us. Let's see if I have the facts straight. CIA takes down planes. The Department of Defense has autonomous Black Hawk helicopters. 2017, Trump had a new vision for aviation air traffic control with next-gen technology that Starlink will provide. 2025, Trump is coming in hot with executive orders bypassing Congress on change. 2025, Trump is firing the FAA boss and ATC employees, air traffic controller employees. 2025, Elon Musk pressured the FAA boss to quit just days before the collision. 2025, Elon military helicopter collides with the civilian plane. 2025, Trump says air traffic control is in chaos. 2025, Starlink can revolutionize aviation and air traffic control. The plane was about to land on runway 33. Starlink needs blockchain and digital ID for payments and authentication. Advocacy groups are demanding the rollout of digital IDs. Digital ID is needed for crypto. Crypto digital wallets can be implanted in your hand like Ripple has, or with a tattoo. At approximately 8:43 Eastern Standard Time, it says, can you take runway 33? Then remember, 11, 13, and 33 is Illuminati numbers. Runway 33, 13 comes out to 13. The number of passengers come out to 13. Timeline of DC plane crash. Less than 13 seconds later, an air traffic control transmission captures controllers gasping as the aircraft collide. 11, 13, and 33 is part of the Illuminati. Look down this tunnel, y'all. Trump signs executive order promoting crypto, paving the way for digital asset stockpile. Just days before the collision. Trump orders crypto working group to draft new regulations, explore national stockpile. Trump pitches himself as the crypto president at San Francisco Tech fundraiser. And what else did Trump say? I need loyalty. 2018, he said it. 2024, America's last election. Trump demands loyalty. Trump appointees must prove fidelity and loyalty. What does Revelation 13, 15 through 18 say? And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship him to be killed. Worship the image to be killed. I said, is loyalty and worship the same thing? While loyalty is closely tied to the concept of worship, especially in a religious context, it doesn't exactly mean the same thing. Loyalty signifies a steadfast commitment and faithfulness to someone and something, while worship is a more direct act of reverence and adoration, often involving specific practices and rituals. Loyalty can be seen as a foundation for worship. So right now, he's demanding the foundation to worship, which is loyalty. Worship will come next. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Digital tattoos can be used for personal identification. Digital currencies in a digital wallet on a Trump coin to buy or sell. That no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Tattoo artists giving away free Trump tattoos. Now remember, they were giving away the free vaccines. Now are tattoo artists going to be designing QR codes in the middle of a Trump tattoo so that you can wear your Trump tattoo in worship and be able to buy or sell? Would you wear a Trump tattoo for loyalty and a payment method? Developers unveil electronic tattoos for payment and healthcare. And y'all look at this. They're getting people associated with Trump own money, from the meme coin to Trump saying that he's the crypto president, from now him being on play money. So little kids can walk around with Donald Trump own money, associating Trump and being able to buy or sell. Now, I talked about this picture in another video, and we saw the Knights of Templar worship the Baphomet. We saw Elon Musk worship the Baphomet, which the head is a goat and the body is of a man. So there it is. There's the head of a goat and the body of a man. And Don Jr. put this out, okay? What are they trying to show us? The strange 666 on fake Trump money.
A friend of the channel referenced this image in the comments a little while ago, and I just thought I'd talk about it for a minute. In case anyone hasn't seen this, this was posted on Instagram about a week ago by Donald Trump Jr., and it's a picture of his father looking in a mirror, only the image in the mirror has a goat head. And obviously the inference is that Trump is the goat as in greatest of all time, but it is kind of strange that this is also Baphomet, which is basically an invented god from about 1,000 years ago. It's usually depicted as having the head and legs of a goat with the body of a human. And I'm not going to dive too deep into the history of Baphomet, since there are many videos on YouTube that do that. But it is certainly strange that Donald Trump Jr. would post this, considering the dual symbolism involved. His father being the supposedly greatest president of all time, and also wearing a goat head. A little weird. But the other subject I want to talk about is all the fake money going around with Trump's image on it, whether it's paper money or coins or anything else. And in the back of my mind, I always thought that the MAGA hats were a bit of foreshadowing of the mark of the beast. Not that they are the mark of the beast, but it's a foreshadowing. And I'm kind of getting the same feeling from all of this fake Trump money that you can buy on Amazon or eBay or Etsy or any of these other places. There's just so much of it that it almost seems like a foreshadowing of a time when his image or name will be on actual money. And I doubt that's something Trump would object to either. But the reason I'm bringing this up is I was looking at these various images, and one of them kept showing up more and more on various sites that you can buy this from. And that is the image of Trump looking straight ahead, which you see here. In fact, you see $10,000 of it here. This does seem to be the most popular version of the fake Trump money. And here's the flip side of the same bill. But here's the reason I'm showing it to you, and it's really odd. Here's the front and the back a little bit larger where you can see them. But a friend of the channel reminded me of this, and I remember noticing this a while back and just forgot all about it. For those of you who don't know, maybe you can pick it up on this next image. Here's the image of the back, and you may or may not notice something in the lower right-hand corner. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can see it. And that is indeed a 666 in the lower right-hand corner of this particular bill. Now, a lot of the Trump money does not have the 666 in the lower right-hand corner of the back, but from what I can tell, this is the most popular fake Trump money being sold online on a variety of sites, and it's just baffling why a 666 would appear. Now, I did look into where these are printed, and all of the fake Trump money, as far as I can tell, is printed in China. I know that's a shock, but that's where it's coming from. But whoever printed this over in China could have, perhaps, wanted to play a little joke and put this 666 on the back, or maybe they did it just to draw attention to their product, which at least worked because I'm talking about it in this video. Or maybe it was a Christian who wanted to subtly alert other Christians that there's something about Donald Trump that you might want to check out. But unfortunately, after looking into this for a couple of days, I couldn't get much more information on what company might have made it, and I didn't want to spend $20 and buy any, which I hope you can understand. So I'm sorry that I can't really give details beyond this. But I know a lot of people who watch my videos have friends or family who are MAGA, and undoubtedly some of them have the fake Trump money. So if any of you happen to be around your friend or family member who is talking about how great Donald Trump is, ask them to go get their fake Trump money and then do a little investigation. Maybe on the packaging there is the specific name of the company and we can find out a little more information from there. Or at least point out to them that there is a 666 on the back of this fake $1,000 bill. And who knows, maybe it'll plant a seed in their minds that something is strange about Donald Trump, and they might want to investigate that just a little further. Okay, that's all for this video.
This was from 2020 on CNN. Of course, Donald Trump wants his face on Mount Rushmore. August 10th, 2020. One day ago. Let's get carving. Congresswoman introduces bill to add Trump to Mount Rushmore. 3 days ago, Anna Paulina Luna files legislation to carve Trump's face on Mount Rushmore. Lawmaker proposes bill to carve Trump on Mount Rushmore. Wouldn't that be something if his image is on Mount Rushmore and that's the image that starts talking? I'm being foolish. But y'all see the vanity? He had the Ark of the Covenant that is supposed to be the representation of God on the earth. He's demanding loyalty. He's got fake coin money and he's got his meme coin and there's Trump tattoos and people getting Trump tattoos on their head. And now he wants to be on Mount Rushmore. This is not a normal president behavior. And Trump says he will be the first crypto president. Trump pitches himself as a crypto president that's going to be on blockchain. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance create pro-crypto presidential ticket. And he calls us all. And he had power to give life into the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. The beast mark, his name and number will be tied to a payment system. So we're getting into biblical times here. And they're wanting to overhaul the FAA, connect everything to the blockchain. They're ready to connect the crypto to the blockchain. There's electronic tattoos for payment. There's implantable chips for payment. The CIA takes down planes. They take down things to be able to implement new agendas. So was this an unfortunate accident or something more? The official story, nothing else is involved, wink, wink. A helicopter and an airplane collided. Are you buying the official story? The beast system is rising, and it is coming fast, and it will be all the way on us before we even realize it. This is the war of good and evil. It is the battle for our hearts and minds, a battle for what we will believe is truth, a battle to resist the darkness and stay in the light, a battle to fight the deception and walk in the truth, and a battle of the resolve to stay committed to Jesus no matter how hard this gets. This is labeled Trump 666, and it looks like it's from the 80s.
Looked up Trump Tower. Let's try Donald Trump.
Number 5, Leeds United.
Against number 6.
Will play Manchester United.
Oh, Donald.
You don't realise what you've done there.
Against number 6.
Will play Manchester United.
Oh, Donald.
You don't realise what you've done there.
6.
Will play Manchester United.
Oh, Donald.
He's making the 666 symbol. This hand symbol is often used by celebrities who place it over their eyes in photos on magazine covers, etc. Many believe it symbolizes the number 666, and celebrities placing it over one eye symbolizes their alliance to the Illuminati. And I went back into the 70s and was pulling 666. Jim Morrison, Beatles, Michael Jackson, the Bee Gees. The Beatles had a lot going on. The devil horns, the 666, the double 666, the all-seeing eye, the hypnotized emblem. And y'all look at this. From Beatles press officer. That's John Lennon flashing the devil horns and Paul McCartney making a 666 Eye of Horus hand sign. I mean, I am Antichrist as well. Lord, I'm not Antichrist. I'm just reading this. Forgive me for even saying that. This man says, I am Antichrist as well, but they are so Antichrist that they shot even me, which isn't an easy thing. So in 1970s, the Beatles press officer said these hand symbols were Antichrist. And look at all of our presidents. There's Daddy Bush doing 666, Obama 666, W doing 666, Clinton doing 666, Jimmy Carter doing 666. And as a free note, Daddy Bush was the head of the CIA, but Trump would never Never, because Trump loves America. He wouldn't do that. Trump will hold a Bible. Trump will sell a Bible, but he won't put his hand on the Bible and swear to defend the Constitution of the American people. Think about that. Does he not want to get in trouble with God? Because he's coming in hot with all this digital assets, wanting digital IDs, wanting worship, demanding worship, all of the executive orders. And there he is with his 666. Not one time by accident. Then there's Bowie and different celebrities doing the double I 666. Bieber. Okay. This says, our great photographer Jim Young captured this photo of the President of the United States this morning talking to the governors. This was February 25th, 2019. Oh, Trump isn't in the club. He loves America. I pray this wakes some people up. And, you know, people that had been on the island, they're doing the 666 symbolism. People that Trump associated with, Mike Tyson doing 666, Oprah doing 666, all the celebrities doing 666. But you say, oh, that was his past. He doesn't do that now. And here he is, the first full day in office, in the White House, giving the floor to transhumanists Sam Altman and Larry Ellison. Now, Sam Altman is the head of OpenAI, doing WorldCoin, scanning people's biometrics, give them cryptocurrencies. Larry Ellison is the head of Oracle. Now watch this about Larry Ellison and Oracle.
Let me share a dark secret about Oracle with you today. Larry Ellison was obsessed with databases, but one day he discovered something huge, a classified CIA project called Oracle. The CIA wanted a database that could link information together fast, but no one had built one yet. Then Larry had a bold idea. With this CIA project in mind, Larry built the first ever relational database. He named it Oracle after the CIA project that sparked it all. But here's the twist. Ellison wasn't just building it for the CIA. He saw something much bigger. And then he made Oracle a global phenomenon, transforming how businesses and governments handle data today.
Late 1970s, Larry Ellison founded Oracle, a company selling software products for operations management. But Oracle's history holds a hidden connection to the CIA. Oracle's name originates from a 1977 CIA project codename, with the CIA being Oracle's first customer. While helping companies manage operations, Oracle's involvement in national security is significant. Oracle heavily relies on government contracts, contributing to the tools of the modern surveillance state. In the wake of the September 11th attacks, Oracle advocated for a comprehensive national security database. Concerns arise about Oracle's product security, with experts highlighting vulnerabilities. Oracle's collaboration with the government raises debates on data security and privacy. Oracle's journey from CIA origins to its role in the national security landscape reveals a complex and often unnoticed history. In the late 1970s,
So Larry Ellison worked with national security for the CIA, and the head of the airline that was hit, Robert Isom, works with the Department of Homeland Security. Mr. 666 Larry Ellison, that works with the CIA, had in the past offered the free software to create the national IDs. Mr. CIA has the technology An Oracle National ID refers to a system. Oracle is CIA, the CIA National ID, but Larry Ellison is the spokesperson, the face of Oracle, without wearing the CIA badge when he gets up at the podium. An Oracle National Digital ID refers to a system where Oracle technology is used to manage and verify a citizen's digital ID on a national scale, essentially creating a secure online representation of a person's identity that can be used to access various services and verify their identity without needing physical documents. Essentially a digital version of a national ID card powered by Oracle's identity management solution. And Ellison had offered the government the technology for that. Now, this is from the FAA. The FAA that we're talking about, this planes that collided with the helicopter. Delphi e-invoicing. Oracle's supplier module. So the FAA is using their systems. So are they going to want to upgrade to blockchain because they use their systems? How a deviant philosopher built Palantir, that's Peter Thiel. How Peter Thiel's company Palantir was built by CIA funding and has helped the likes of NSA and GCHQ spy since its inception. Peter Thiel's CIA-backed startup, Donald Trump, was Peter Thiel's most successful investment. And you still think Trump is draining the swamp when his vice president is friends with Peter Thiel, who funded his Senate campaign. J.D. Vance got on the Senate and Banking Committee after Peter Thiel got him elected to the Senate. And before Trump even selected him as his running mate, he was writing the legislation to regulate crypto. And there he is throwing up the 666. And there's Elon Musk throwing up the 666. And you think Trump is draining the swamp? Will Starlink and Neuralink work together? Yes, according to current understanding and Elon's vision, Starlink, SpaceX satellite internet network, and Neuralink, his brain-computer interface, are expected to eventually work together, potentially allowing for direct brain-to-internet access through a Neuralink implant, effectively providing seamless internet connectivity without the need for traditional devices like phones or computers, essentially thinking to access the internet by Starlink's network. You think we got freedom? Elon Musk is not a renegade outsider. He's a massive Pentagon contractor.
I wish I could say I was excited about Elon Musk's Twitter takeover, but unfortunately I am not. This week we republished a fantastic piece of journalism from Alan McLeod of Mint Press News about Elon's attachment to the Pentagon, as well as the CIA, of course. And the connections are pretty blatant. Elon's buddy Mike Griffin worked for a venture capitalist branch of the CIA, and later helped Elon get a $396 million government handout while Griffin was on the board of NASA, really forging that public-private partnership between manufacturers like SpaceX, who can produce weapons, and the U.S. State Department and intelligence agencies, while cutting taxpayer funding for public institutions like NASA and dumping it into the private sector. I wonder what that's called. I can't remember. So whatever Elon does with Twitter, I have a feeling he'll just end up censoring anti-imperialists. And I've noticed it tends to happen like that when you live in capitalism. Speaking of censorship, Mint Press News had their PayPal banned. I don't know if they got it back, but go support them.
And PayPal, Peter Thiel banded me off PayPal also. It's all a club, y'all, and we are not in it. and they are making the decision on the direction of humanity. Trump is writing FAA executive orders requiring next-gen technology, and Elon is supplying the technology. April 29, 2022, Elon Musk, warning, Elon Musk is supplying globalists with technology to control our minds. The urge to purge. Trump and Musk drain the swamp. Trump fires at least a dozen government watchdogs. Trump draft executive order would create a board to purge generals. What if Trump is actually purging people that want to protect America, whom he fears will stand in the way of his policy implementations? What if he is appointing people who will do his bidding without hesitation? Remember, his Department of Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, said he will ensure Trump's executive orders are passed, complied with, without excuse. So, a helicopter, a plane collision, digital ID, Trump, and the mark of the beast. In y'all's mind, put these pieces together, no matter what they call us, because a conspiracy theorist is nothing more than a derogatory title to dismiss a critical thinker. Think while it's still legal. A helicopter plane collision to the mark of the beast. The Trump don't seem that big anymore. And he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he who had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. We are in the biblical end of days. Heed this warning. Heed this warning.
I've been having visions, unshakable, intense, vivid visions. And no matter how many times I've tried to put them to the side, they only grow stronger, demanding my full attention. These visions are not only dreams, but they are warnings. And they center around something that most of us have not yet considered fully: the mark of the beast. I see so many people say, oh, I'll never take the mark of the beast. It's going to be so obvious. But in these visions, I've seen people who are Christian who said they would never take it become very desperate. Because it's not only the inability to buy food and water. In these visions, I've seen desperate people scavenging empty pharmacies, looking for insulin, painkillers, antibiotics. I've seen parents holding their crying infants, powerless to feed them. The tension is suffocating, the fear is palpable, and yet in the midst of the suffering, a question rises. What will you do when the obedience to God demands sacrifice beyond anything you've ever thought? You say you won't take the mark, and yet I want to believe you. But will you still say that when the hunger pangs are not only yours, but your loved ones, your spouse, your children, your friends? When you're faced with the choice of watching them starve or compromising your soul, this isn't some abstract idea or far-off scenario. The visions I've been having are of a world where faith is being tested to unimaginable levels. Infants, loved ones, and pets. So I urge you not to only think deeply about the choice, but about the cost. Are you truly able to endure for God when your body and your heart are suffering? Because this is not a question of if, but when. Will you stand firm, or will the price be too high?
It's getting serious now. Playtime is over. We are at the point where we have to walk circumspectly and not as fools, the Bible says. And today is the day of salvation. If you've never gotten saved and you're feeling a stirring in your spirit, and you're feeling something and you don't know what it is, that's the Holy Spirit calling you to come to Him. Today is the day of salvation. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and you will be saved. Be baptized for the remission of your sins. Confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead and you will be saved. For with the heart one believes unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me. At the name of Jesus, every knee shall bow. All of our oppressors, all of the rulers of this world, all of the people that are trying to kill us and that maybe will kill some of us, at the name of Jesus, every knee shall bow, of those in heaven and those on the earth and of those under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of the Father. Put your hope in God and be faithful until death, and I will give you the crown of life. No matter how hard it gets, he who endures to the end shall be saved. Thank y'all for watching. I love y'all. I just wanted to say that the truth is not for sale. I am accountable to God to freely give the truth. It is not hidden behind a paywall and locking out poor people while only giving truth to the people who are wealthy, who can pay a fee to see the truth. I'm not going to get any kind of pay. I'm not going to do Patreon, and for a certain amount of fee, you can come and see and me release content to you, but other people can't see. Because guess what? If you have money, I don't like you more than the people that are dirt poor just like me. And if you're dirt poor, I don't look down on you because you're dirt poor. Freely, freely we have received, freely, freely give. The Bible says, silver and gold have I not, but such as I have, I give unto thee. God so loved the world that he gave. Okay? So I'm giving y'all the truth. I'm not going to sell the truth. The truth is not for sale. The truth is to set you free. And I'm not going to withhold the truth in Patreon so that I can make money and deprive y'all from hearing the truth if you can't afford it. Truth is for free, and every person deserves to hear the truth. But if you appreciate the time and the effort and the research and the graphic design that I do, if you appreciate the labor that I put into the videos, would you prayerfully consider supporting the channel or a one-time donation? Because it's a lot of work that goes into it while I have to hit pause and go deal with Josh and his needs and his mental health needs and his behavioral needs and his medication needs, and having to stop and come back. It's a heavy involvement to research, to set it up, to organize the information, to connect the dots, to developing each of the slides that I work on. Like this right here is 305 slides on PowerPoint. So go open up PowerPoint and open up 305 slides and see how much reading and research and graphic arts and design, how much goes into this. But if y'all appreciate the content that I'm bringing on the channel, would you prayerfully consider supporting the channel? We are in perilous, perilous times, and I need y'all's help to be able to keep doing this, because we don't know how much longer we're going to be able to hear truth. But I have a sneaking suspicion it's not going to be that much longer. And as I told somebody yesterday, if all the communication lines go down, and I talked to like 3 people off my YouTube channel through email or text every single day, off not YouTube, but Rumble and BitChute. like I told somebody yesterday, if everything goes down tomorrow, if the internet blackout happens tomorrow, if the phones go down tomorrow and we can't ever communicate again, if there's one thing that I can say to y'all, please just keep serving Jesus. Make it to the finish line. Make it to well done, thou good and faithful servant. Enter into thy rest. Do not forsake Jesus. Do not turn your back on Jesus. No matter if you can't talk to me, no matter if you can't say my family's doing this or this, no matter if you're like, I'm afraid they're going to turn me in, no matter what, I shall not fear what men shall do unto me. The Bible says that the fear of man is a snare. So y'all, no matter what, if this is the last thing that I can warn y'all about, don't shrink back. Keep serving Jesus. Revelation said that they overcame the devil by the word of their testimony, by the blood of the Lamb, and they love not their life unto the death. Endure in the name of Jesus. I love y'all. Bye-bye.